Hi guys, welcome to the Who Gave Jeff Allen a Podcast. This is a very special episode this week. It's an episode for the elderly. It's going to be probably about 4 hours long because potty breaks. But today's sponsor is Opryland, and we are so excited to have you guys here. We can't wait. We're going to learn about the gout. We're going to learn about things like diabetes and how to skip it. So anyways, we're so grateful you're here. And Jeff's going to introduce our guest.
I'm going to introduce Carollynn. Again, you forgot to mention your name. She's Carollynn Xavier.
I'm Carollynn.
The co-host. And we do have a special guest here. We worked together in Nashville at the Fisher Center. It was the first time I got a chance to see his entire set, and blew me away. Absolutely blew me away. You probably are familiar with him, certainly familiar with the last name, that's for sure. And we'll briefly talk about the kid. And but that's not what we're here for. We're here to get to know Mr. Stephen Bargatze. So please welcome Stephen Bargatze.
All right. I'd love to know the question on who gave you this podcast. But also how he, if you ever work with Jeff and he watches your set from his dressing room, walking up and down doing his lines, he wasn't watching my set and stuff. He was getting prepared.
I was in the back because half the theater was empty because it was my show and not your son's. So
it was not empty. It was a great show.
But that was what was so funny was I had friends that were there and they go, "Man, you packed it," and I go, "Did you turn around?"
Okay, don't turn around.
Yeah, no, we had a great turnout and got a chance. And we talked about this. I did start as a magician.
I didn't like that, but yeah.
I was so bad. I got on stage and my hands were shaking. I was dropping things. And I figured, you know what? I don't need to lug all this stuff around with me to do poorly. I can do poorly without this
on
stuff.
My own.
Anyway.
But we're the same age. So it's really amazing that we didn't ever meet up a lot going the way, doing things. But we were doing the same thing.
I did the comedy club round, and you stayed out of them, which is odd because you lived through the boom.
Right.
I'm sure you were
I
offered.
did the C version comedy clubs. I did the ones in the bowling alleys and the ones that was in hotels, and I didn't go out on the big chain. So I was doing all these little ones, but I was also getting a lot of work and doing corporate and banquets and all that kind of stuff.
And you did clown.
I started off as a clown.
I got to tell you, man, when my son was 5, anyway, I called an agency in New Jersey, and I said, "Do you have a clown that drinks too much?" And they said, "No." And I go, "Then you're not our people." I saw my nephew at a birthday party with a clown. It reminded me of W.C. Fields.
Right.
He was drunk, and he'd be up there being a clown, and then he'd bend over to get a new trick set up, and he goes, "I hate these little punks." So that's what I was looking for, because the adults were hollering. The adults were on the floor, and the kids had no clue, and so I guess most agencies don't hire drunks.
No.
Which probably cut back on a lot of work you could have had.
I could have had a career at that.
I grew up in the 90s, and by the time I was the age of birthday parties, it was post-it. So nobody would. Did that movie like tank that whole business? Tanked it? Clown?
For a long time.
How many years were you a clown?
Nathan says until he was 12, which is about how long you would want your dad to be a clown. Because then all your friends start talking about it. And it's like, is that what he still does? But I started off as a clown. I don't know, it's hard to notice. It's not too hard, but I talk funny. And
how'd that come about?
I had a father that could have been that drunk clown, but just had a lot of struggle with a lot of stuff with alcoholism, and we were in a bowling alley, and I was almost 3, and accidentally put me in the wrong door. He thought I was going into the nursery, and he would go to the bar and drink, and all the time my mom was working.
They had a nursery in a bowling alley?
Yeah, come on.
God, I loved America back then.
Back then, it was great.
That brilliant.
Was the ultimate daycare center.
Yeah. And they had ashtrays in the when you go in there, you had to look out because the people
come out of the pool shark. Learn how to con.
But I snored it. We got to just snort already.
I just picture like little baby buddies,
awesome.
and they're like polishing their heads like it's a bowling ball. They send them out.
That's how they send you back to your parents.
So to this day, when you see bowling shoes, do you flinch?
Oh my God.
Okay, so you're 3 years old.
I somehow ended up. He put me in this door. It should have been locked, but it was where the guard dogs. They had guard dogs that would run at night. They let them loose in the bowling alley instead of hiring somebody. But and I don't remember anything. I just know that.
Thank God.
I ended up in the hospital. I mean, I got attacked. He was bitten like this, and he took some part of my tongue. I had like 6 years of plastic surgery, and the kind that makes you real handsome.
I could see that. I didn't want to mention it.
Yeah, it worked.
Sounds weird.
We all know that. But
sounds weird coming from a man. You know.
She could have jumped in there, but no. But it just left me with a bad speech impediment and problems and stuff. My joke is, I learned it when I talked and stuff. When I would work in clubs, and people would always, especially in the beginning, they'd always come up and go, did he talk that way on purpose?
Well,
did he know he spit on that lady? And I always knew.
Well, it's funny. I saw Louis Anderson open the Tonight Show with 4 fat jokes. And then he said, I do the fat jokes because if I didn't, somebody would look at home and go, does he know he's fat?
That's right.
So that's it.
That's
so
exactly
all of a sudden,
right.
Right.
1,000%.
Are you aware that you talk the way you... Yeah, very aware. I live it 24/7.
Wow. Boy, was I surprised. But yeah, exactly. And I'd never heard that about him, but that is exactly why I did it.
Yeah.
And so just to get that out of everybody's way. But that's why becoming a clown was so easy, because the guy who taught me magic was a clown. He was Ronald McDonald. His name was Tom Hart here in Nashville. And he, so I would be Ronald McDonald illegally almost. I looked just like him. If you look at Nathan's album cover, Yelled At by a Clown, you can see a lot of Ronald in there. And but I had a great clown voice.
Oh, so you spoke. You didn't just do mime.
No. Yeah. So I'm doing mime. Come on, I got dignity.
And that's back when you were still nice to kids, right?
In the hierarchy of entertainment, I know stand-up comedy is like way down in the arts. It's like the actors. I'm an actor. I got into. I was dating a girl in Augusta for a while. Anyway, I thought I could play Augusta National, and I went to pick her up. And he turns around and goes, Martha, the circus clown is here. So I have a feeling we're not going to tee it up at Augusta. So that's what successful real estate people looked at what I did as circus clown. But again,
1,000.
Mime, you had dignity. You wouldn't do it.
I saw it. But I just, you knew it.
I love that.
But,
do you think there's someone listening to this in their car right now that's like,
if I can get out of this box, I'm coming down to that studio.
I'm going to let this guy have it.
Yeah. I used to do a joke about my kid in the mall on the leash, And anyway, mommy, and all that. And I said, there was a mime in the mall. He even came over and said, shut that kid up. And I said, you know what it takes to get a mime out of character?
It's a lot.
A lot of angst.
Okay, so when you were a clown, because I've seen your act, which is so fun and so funny, were you nice to kids back then?
It's another long story, but in the beginning...
That's what we're here for.
Oh, okay. In the beginning, yes. I was kind of being nice. I was a white face, and I also was in Augusta and a hobo, so I was 3 different clowns. But the hobo guy could be a little meaner. Because
he had a drinking problem.
He did. And it was really...
And just the word hobo brings back such fond memories of me and my childhood.
That's right.
We could say things like that.
Are we not allowed to say unhoused persons?
I was a hobo every Halloween.
For Halloween, come on, that's
because you just took a piece of cork, and you went like that.
That was when your parents forgot. Halloween?
Hobos had dirty faces, all of them. So
yeah, just need a stick with a handkerchief. And
when hobos were sweet, pre-fentanyl, they didn't yell at you.
Yeah,
this has really
nice.
gone places I've never heard in my
Welcome
stories.
to the ADD. Welcome to the ADD podcast.
This is great.
Brought to you by Pfizer and Adderall.
Those would be terrible. Those would be terrible sponsors, but we would get so much work done.
Yes, we would.
Tell me more about your story.
Yes. So anyway, you were three clowns.
I started off as the White Nice because that's what I worked at Opryland theme park. But I did birthday parties. I did a lot of birthday parties and did all that stuff when I first started. I love close-up magic, which is what you got into.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
But I could not make money at it. You know, back then, I mean, nobody's gonna pay for you to find their card. But if you can make the birthday kid laugh. So my guy Tommy told me that you got to do birthday parties that make your money to support your habit of card tricks and all that. So that's when I became that clown and really nice. But it was.
And this is when, in the 90s?
In the 80s, by the time when I finally got into early 80s. Then I got the job at Opryland theme park. I did both. I did clowning there, and I also did.
Oh, were you married at this point?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I got married at 12.
Well, that's a true Southern wedding.
That's the way to do it.
Was it a cousin? I'm just asking.
Yeah, no. Second cousin. Don't go. Come on. We're not creepy.
Okay. All right, I got it.
But we met in the 8th grade, my wife and myself. So we were 14, so almost.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and only girlfriend and
Homeschooled.
Yeah. In the old Catholic schools, and but we got married at 19, so pretty young. So I got started, and magic was pretty new for me, making a living right about the time we get married. Because I couldn't have had that before. Her parents would have stopped that right away. That's what he wants to be, a clown. But
yeah, Tammy was not. I was already a comic, but they you want to marry a,
This is what, yeah. Well, just so everybody knows, Nathan's father-in-law also asked me, "Is how long do you think he's going to stick with this before he gets a real job?"
Really?
Yeah. And it was, and I wanted, and he was.
Now he says, "I told Nathan when he wanted to quit, you stick with it, man.
Don't give up.
You've got something."
Yeah, I know how that works.
This may work.
Yeah.
I just learned after your story about Nashville. I didn't know that Opryland, when I first moved here, I went to Opryland and I was like, this is a Bass Pro Shop? And they're calling it Opryland? I had no idea that it was like a theme park. So for people that don't know.
And people were upset.
It was a great
people were upset when they closed it down to put a mall there.
Yeah, it was
So
awesome.
was it kind of like Dollywood a little bit?
Yeah, it's smaller than Dollywood. But
now, the same idea.
Right.
Country music and all the shows were usually country or
and family friendly.
Kind of like Branson, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I would say so.
A good friend of ours, Shonda Pierce, played Minnie Pearl.
Really?
For a number of the shows there.
Oh,
We're
wow.
trying to get her in to interview her.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
She won't drive from Ashland City here.
We'll have to take it on the road.
Yeah.
Because when I first heard your story about being a clown at Opryland, I was like, that's a weird place to have a clown, because I thought it was just a strip mall. So you're at this theme park, you're a clown, and you're nice to kids.
I am nice to kids, and what happens
The balloon animals?
But I did balloon animals. I could do them all.
Okay,
I was a
brag.
one man. I was a one balloon. I didn't put two together to make come on. We were cheap. We were on a budget.
I learned to do the dachshund.
Yeah.
That was it. I was a one balloon.
And that's why you are who you are today.
That's right.
I could do Snoopy on a motorcycle.
Wow.
One balloon.
Okay. We're bragging now.
Now we're bragging. No, but I got into all of that. And I learned to drive my car to a show and make the balloons on the way, so I could drive with my knees. And so, because I had to do 4 a day sometimes, so I had to have the balloon animals already made.
Well, now we got to put a billboard on I-40. No balloon animals.
While driving.
Put the balloon animals down.
Yeah.
It's not worth a life.
This is right. My kid, my wife, they all still hate to drive with me because I'm still wanting to do things while I'm driving. Because I thought I was really good at it. Probably wasn't. But
Which is really sad for all the families that crashed into a ditch. The last thing they saw was some guy with glasses making a balloon, drinking coffee, making a balloon.
with a Easter bunny beside me. And, hold this. We're going to a show. But really what happened, the meanest, I mean, if people don't know, but I'm not the nicest guy to kids and everything now. But what happened...
In a hilarious way.
What happened was... this other guy, those two magicians that worked the season, and he got very lucky because his grandmother died, and my grandmother was doing really well at the time, so he got to quit because he had to go to a funeral, and he was going to be gone for a couple of weeks, so they just said, "You're done," and I had to do all the shows, and I quickly did not like that because I was every day doing them all, and back then in the 80s, parents, and some of y'all are out there, would buy season passes to the little boogers, kids,
Right.
and just on the way to work, drop them off, pick them up on the way home. We babysitted them. So all these, 10, 12, 13, up to 15, 16-year-old kids just run in the park they owned it. And they would yell at the magician. They'd yell at me every day. "I've seen that. When are you going to do something different? Next year. Leave me alone." And so I went home and I told my wife, I told them, I don't want to do this. I quit.
Listen, I just had an image of a screenplay, writing a movie about the clown that
Wanted to quit.
that went berserk at a theme park.
Everybody believe it.
Just finally, he couldn't take it any longer.
Tying kids to the tracks of the roller coaster.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to be drunk. You can just be a clown.
Yeah, exactly.
And, but they, so I said, I don't want to do this. I'm not going to do this. I tried to quit, and then I found out pretty young about contracts, and when you sign them,
Right.
that means you're in trouble. And so I went home and told my wife, I tried to quit. They won't let me quit.
I'm stuck.
And she goes, "Well, just make them fire you." And that was the smartest thing I've ever heard. So I go, "Well, how can I can be mean to kids,
Right,
and they'll have to get rid of me."
Right.
But
And it turned out.
But I'm not. I mean, down deep, I can't be mean to kids. I want to, but I don't want them to know that. So I would be playful mean, and be smart alecky and all this stuff. And
So many of them are in therapy right now. They're like, my
Yeah.
parents neglected
Clown.
me, and they take me to the mean clown, and then he yell at me.
it was awesome. But my show became really popular, and it's got really. It also became fun.
Yeah.
And every morning I would meet about 10 kids that would come and beg to be, because I had one trick where I'd put them on a rock and this water would knock them out from a ride. And they'd go break my box, and I'd scream at them and yell at them. And then I started, and meanwhile too, I also started not to be I was transitioning from the clown to just being me. Because I always thought I wasn't funny without the makeup. I felt with the makeup gave me more freedom to be goofy and to say stuff. Could I be stupid without it?
Well, that's interesting, because there was a guy in Chicago years ago would come out in a gorilla suit and do his comedy show with the gorilla suit.
I remember this guy.
No, you don't, do you?
I remember
Hondo
seeing a guy do
Barflux.
it.
He changed his name to Hondo Barflux. If you're alive, Hondo, reach out.
I seen this guy.
But he gradually, over time, the club owner kept going, "You got to take the suit off."
Yeah.
So
I think I
over time, piece by piece, he started with a foot, and then it's like he's doing therapy to get comfortable of not doing it without the
Exposure
gorilla suit.
therapy.
And eventually got down to where he was doing it with one hand of the gorilla. He just couldn't let go of the entire outfit.
I love it.
But again, there was this maybe security of hiding inside the suit, and
I went through exactly all that same feeling.
Like Mitch
and
Hedberg
stuff.
in sunglasses.
Yeah.
Oh, was that? Yeah.
Yeah, he would wear sunglasses because he had such bad stage fright.
Wow.
Yeah, you can always tell by the way he looked down and everything.
Yeah.
He was
But
afraid to.
now you wear a hat. Why do you wear a hat?
Well, I wear
I thought all magicians wore.
I wear the hat because while I was at Opryland, they all of a sudden got Opryland Hotel, and again that they didn't want the clown, they wanted the magician, and we would do strolling magic during banquets before a corporate thing. So, but they had a rule: everybody had to wear a tux. So all the waiters and everybody. So the magicians. So I looked like a waiter. So every time I'd go up to do a card trick, I'd go, "How you doing?" And they go, "We need ketchup." I got to go get ketchup.
I need some saltines.
So I was always like going, "Oh man, I need to let them know I'm not the ketchup guy."
Right.
That they need to find that elsewhere. So I just said, I'll just wear a top hat, so at least I'm the waiter with the top hat.
Right.
But for years, I got a lot of work. We want the guy with the hat. They couldn't remember Bargatze.
Right.
And but they could go, the magician that wears that hat all the time.
It talks funny.
Yeah, spits on us and stuff like that.
Ron Pearson.
Yeah, he calls every episode.
Right in the middle of the
special.
episode. He calls, I don't know, it's timing.
Juggler.
Oh, see, they're
Juggler.
like
Stand-up and
that.
juggler.
They
Yeah.
are like that.
Yeah, where's that fit in the hierarchy? Above a mime, below a mime?
They're right in. All jugglers want to be magicians, and they think they want to be better than they want to do something a little higher than they think they are. So that's how you can ask them, "What would you like to be?" And then you know where they are. But all magicians want to be jugglers, but you can't. I only know one guy, a guy named Charlie Fry, if you might know him, that the best at both of those worlds.
Really?
Most people are either really good jugglers and magicians, and or they're really good magician. And I juggled in my show in Opryland.
Oh, really?
I had one trick where I juggled, and it was funny. It was cute, and I got it out the other day for. I did a show for my granddaughter, and I did my life in magic. So I started off, and so I got that trick out to juggle. I don't juggle anymore.
Right.
I couldn't. I was going, how did I do this?
Yeah.
And I didn't want to spend the time that we learned even that simple little routine.
Well, I was going to say, people don't understand the hours it takes to learn, even in magic, because, again, I dabbled in close-up. I was never adept. I learned some card tricks and stuff, but I knew, like, I tried to learn the bottom deal.
So
Undetectable.
you went to the hard stuff.
Right. I wanted to
yeah.
learn to do that. I wanted to do a gambling demonstration, and I spent
I know.
weeks.
He wanted to cheat some of his friends.
He's like, I dabbled in Texas Hold'em. That's what I dabbled.
Well,
There was no Texas Hold'em when we grew up.
but a friend of yours who did the gambling, he was on Hulu. What's the show?
Delgado.
Delgado.
Good.
Right.
Fantastic.
Yeah, amazing. I mean,
Amazing.
and I read his book. I'd love to get him on here, but he literally cheated for
Right.
money. He was a
Right.
professional cheat, and where people were looking and watching and expecting someone to cheat,
Right.
and he got away with it. So I spent weeks and hours trying to learn just one basic thing. So people don't understand when you do something that the key to successful close-up is to make it look easy, and you spend more time on the presentation so that you can
Right.
present. But there's a deep appreciation I have for it. So I want to go back and smack those little punks that called you names.
Yeah, that's what we do. All that. Have you heard of Richard Turner?
No.
Richard Turner, you look him up, the card cheat from Texas, he's blind. And
I have heard of him.
He's the best of all of that. And he can do that in any game. And who's going to suspect the blind guy to cheat you? And he'll wear you out.
I saw what you did. I didn't.
I didn't have a clue. What are you talking about?
We were talking about the hierarchy. Did the because I feel like we always hear stand-ups, and then I've heard Carrot talk about what a struggle it was being in clubs and stuff.
It really was, and it's why I kind of quit doing the bigger comedy clubs because they were all going. All those guys were all coming out, and they were there. And first couple times I'd get hit on about, "No, you're doing the prop. You're just a prop guy." That's why I didn't want to go there. I went, well, they didn't, and it really wasn't the audience that hated
Not at
you.
all.
It was the other comics.
And I've had those arguments with people, especially about ventriloquists and things. And I said, the job is to entertain. Whatever gift you've been given to entertain, that's the audience only cares about being entertained.
Yeah.
And this purity test, and of course, Tammy did tell me that if I was a prop guy, she would have never dated me.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. So it's a good thing I'm a monologist.
I just had it with, I won't mention his name, but the couple of guys, I suggested a guy do something one time, just wear something, do it. And he just goes, I would never lower myself to be a prop guy. And this is a guy that's probably been in magic comedy less than 5 years.
Really?
So I'm going, how does he have that feeling? Because that's exactly what I heard when I was,
Wow.
was young.
Well, Shanley did a prop on Tonight Show. Yeah. He opened his set with, he pulled a pen out with a chain connected to it. He goes, hey, these are free at the bank. And
Which is so funny because you know who created that joke? Didn't
Yes.
you create that joke?
No, I used that joke and Carollynn blamed every magician and said, "Well, all hacks," and ripped it off. But the original guy is I gotta forget the name. The old man that was real cheap all the time.
Jack Benny?
Jack Benny. Jack Benny's on the Par show, and he pulls out. He has to sign a check, and he pulls out the bank pen. It's attached to himself, and he signs
Oh,
the
my
check.
gosh.
He puts it in, so it wasn't even Gary's.
Right.
But Gary did it on the Tonight Show,
Wow.
and then yelled at all the magicians. But for me, when I would try to do clubs, you remember we remember that they counted your laughs. They would say you're not getting enough laughs per minute, and they actually
I
had guys
remember
that would say, "Well, you got this many laughs," and I'm going, I mean, it's some kid
That was
counting
the original.
people.
You don't have enough followers.
Yes,
And
yeah.
real quick, for people my age and younger, banks you used to walk into, and they would have pens that were connected
To the-
this. There would just be this line
It's like
of
an
people.
iPhone today.
They would do a deposit slip, and what a deposit slip is.
but
And that's because we had money.
real money. Oh, I think you made me lose my train of thought. But
Richard
Clubs,
Turner.
struggling in clubs.
no. With the bank pen. So I am, magicians, we have process. I mean, before I can do and entertain you, you got to sign the card, you got to do this, we got to put it in the. So there's that downtime. And it was actually one of those guys that ran a club. I don't know, remember which knew it was. Might have been Zane. He's here. He goes, do the bank pen thing, and you'll get a laugh while they're signing the pen. So you just need to add laughs to all your dead time, and then
I
not
wonder
long.
if it was Lenny. That'd be funny, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't it be
Lenny
awesome?
Sisselman.
Yeah, it was the 80s, it was.
Yeah, and my wife worked at a bank, so I got the real one. I went to, but then when I was there,
She got fired.
you know the bank tubes they send
And
out.
for the young people, there was no Amazon
No.
back in the
No,
day
no.
to just order it. you
That's
know.
right.
What?
They also have at banks little tubes that come out, and you put your money in it, and it just shoots it back up there like the Jetsons.
Still fascinating.
Still, I love it. I like to put. How much coins can you put in there? But they threw one of hers cracked, and so I'm waiting. I don't know how I got in there, but I'm in there waiting for her to get off work, and so I had to pick her up, and then the trash can's one of those tubes. So I went. I need that first, just to put stuff in. But
Right.
then I went, I could go, all right, you get the pen at the bank, you show that, get a laugh, and then I go, when you leave, go by the big window, you get a free thermos. And I go, I got 5 of these. but to the guys out there today that use old lines and old whatever, hack lines, whatever you might want to call them still, 'cause they're funny.
Right.
It's kind of like, let me see your hand, which hand the clean hand. People still laugh at that.
Yeah.
But you got to add more. You got to bring more to the. Don't quit thinking. Is all I'm trying to say. It's just, you know, I think I took it to the next little thing. I kind of made it mine by adding the other stuff.
When did you come up with the knife? Because that floored me.
Yeah.
With the.
It kills me too. It's so
Didn't
funny.
it? It's so funny. You didn't see it coming. You know, I'm thinking, so when did you? I mean, that had to be just one of those where because
It was just watching.
I've had one or
CSI.
two lines in my entire library
Yeah.
of jokes where I wrote and go, God, I can't wait
I
to
knew it was
deliver
going to
this.
destroy right away, and I kept it a secret for a long time because I knew that once it would become the bank pen.
Well,
for
that's the
everybody
thing.
else.
When I learned at Close Up, John Mendoza, who I learned from,
Yeah, which is
told me
who's fantastic.
who was getting ripped off. His
All the
lines were
time.
getting ripped off all the time. And then when I got into comedy, that was the clubs policed the comedian. They don't do it anymore.
No.
But they did. I mean, if you were doing a line and somebody ripped you off and you go into the club, they go, hey, so-and-so did that last week. Whose is it? So it was always kind of a race to television because whoever did it on TV, then the audience
right.
knew that's their line. Right. So it was like if they did it on TV, then it was really upsetting. You know, I had a guy call me once and go, there's a guy doing your entire act here. I go, well, how's he doing?
Kidding?
Yeah. I go, how's he doing? It's not working for me. You know? So how's he doing? But magicians were notorious for doing that. They go to lectures. Did you ever do lectures?
Yeah, still do.
Yeah.
And
How does the
Yeah, you were
back
the
end work?
number one in 2000,
I just won
the Magician of the Year.
Yeah,
Thing.
for the IBM. I won the first place, and
And that stands
So that-
for?
International Brotherhood of Magicians.
Okay.
Paid less than the other IBM, but and it's a hard line for in the magic world because one, I would say 85% of magicians do it as a hobby. They do it on the weekends. They have fun with it, and they love to do it. That's what's neat about the magic world. If you love baseball, I don't ever get to go sit down and talk to Johnny Bench and people. I don't get to meet the guys who are doing it.
Right.
But in the magic world, you could be somebody who just learns a few card tricks, but you can go to a magic convention and you can sit down with David Copperfield and you can go up and talk to these people that are doing such a high level. You get to meet your peers. And so a lot of magicians would say, this is what I do, don't you do any of it. And other ones say, I need the money. So if you'll buy my little tricks, and I could show you the first trick I sold that's still my bestseller today in magic, because anybody can kind of do it. And so I made a lot of money off of that. So how can I tell them, well, you can't do it?
Right.
I'm not going to do that. Now, the knife gag, I've never done it, and I kept it, but it started getting ripped off. And so then I had to go put it out there so people can see that it is my gag. And it's funny, in Vegas, I was protected. There was a couple, Mike King and Lance Burton, and these guys that would see other people do it, and they would stand up for me. And they're big enough names that they say, hey, stop doing that, then people stop. It was getting ripped off at the Magic Castle, and I had people going, hey, don't do that.
Because that's one of those that if you've seen it, you know it's coming. I've seen it 4 times, and I laughed just as hard as I did the first time because I'm watching the faces of the people
right.
who didn't see it coming. And I'm that kind of an audience. I can watch that stuff. I have lines. Somebody beat me to my punchline for the first time in my show, which means they'd been there before.
Right.
At the end of my show.
And why do y'all do that? Stop it. Stop
it.
Yeah.
I was at a Rodney Dangerfield. I was working a small club, and he was at the main theater in a hotel. And I got a chance to go up and see, and it was a nightmare. It was busloads of Canadians came down to Chicago, and they listened to all of his tapes of his shows.
Oh, on the way?
On the way. So they were beating him to every
along.
punchline. Yeah, absolutely. And he's completely, he must have been deaf because he couldn't hear it. And he's just, and finally 2 guys stand up in the front row, and they walk out. And Rodney stops working, and the whole place goes quiet as he turns and he watches these 2 people walk across all the way out the door. Door opens, door closes. And he looks at the crowd and he goes, I'm doing better. They used to run out. Place erupted, and then they just left him alone, and the show turned out great. But, I mean, it was a comic's nightmare. They were beating him. So with the magic trick, certainly that one, is if you know it's coming, if you're that kind of person. Have you ever had that where somebody just shouted out the line?
It kills you.
It does.
And because it's just like, I have, and sometimes it's not on purpose. Sometimes maybe my line's too obvious and anything like. I do a trick and I steal the watch and I do all of this stuff. But the whole gag is you put a ball on top of the cup and you're going to bet the watch, which you just stole. I'm going to give you a chance to win it back, and just tell me where the ball is. And you want them to say it's on, the cup's upside down. And you want them to go, it's on top of the cup, all cocky and everything. And 98% of the time, that's what they say. But if somebody's seen me, they're going to go, it's on the bottom of the cup's upside down, which is my joke. It makes me win. I keep the watch and all that, so it's very funny. But when they say that line, most of the time I know it's because they've seen me.
Yeah.
Why would you say that?
It's the lawyer's thing. Never ask a question you don't want to answer to.
Right.
Yeah.
We did a couple shows together on a cruise.
Yeah, we did. She was, let me tell you, so great. And her husband, both of you guys were, I was so impressed to be able to work with you. So, and I worked with him too, you know.
Well, I'm glad you were there for my retirement.
My wife fell in love with her, and she doesn't never say hardly much, and she loved both of you guys, but she told me, you got to tell her she can't retire.
Yeah.
I mean, she really believed that.
Or
Sorry,
she's not.
Carol.
She's doing this.
Yeah, I'm doing this now.
But this, look what this did for Nateland.
Yeah.
Just starting with the podcast here, and now you'll get a crowd from people from this that you'll be surprised.
Well, we don't know what you'll bring.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to help
This
you at
could
all.
cost us.
It'll be a setback.
People tune in and go, what was with the old people? So cut to Carollynn as much as you can, Christian.
No,
and,
because your crowd will be like, Antifa's there. I hate it. Liberal.
Yeah.
Okay, so we did this show together on the cruise, and I watched your show before the first show you did. You did 3 shows on the cruise, I think, and I watched the first one, and I was like blown away. Like, how does he do that? And then, because I don't know anything about magic, I was like, well, they must have like talked, or he knows them, or whatever. So the last night he does another show. He grabs me out of the audience, and I knew what was going to happen because I'd seen the show. Still lay awake at night, like, how did he do that? Like, it's just whatever the inner workings are, the things that you have to do to get from A to Z. I mean, it blows my mind. Like, it was unbelievable. So for people to rip that off, all of those steps, all of those jokes.
And the problem, they don't always do it the right way, and that's what hurts you. They're doing it, and they're not doing a good job because they don't know your process on how you got there. So they just do the line.
Well, that's what bothers me about it, was because as a storyteller, it takes, at times, they connect and it's just done. Yeah. And I'm working on one now, 4 months, and I still haven't gotten it right. But when I get it right, I'll know it. And then if somebody just goes, oh, I like that.
You take it. Yeah.
Yeah, and they eliminate the whole 4-month process of eating it and listening to nothing coming back and all of that just to get the phrasing right.
Well, you know this within magic, it's the same way. When I learned magic, you had to learn it from another guy, like John knows for you, and a book, and you had to read a book, and there is not all the joke and the timing are in the book.
And the instructions, imagine doing IKEA for cards, and it's like you're going. That was the problem I had, was trying to discern. Wait a minute, how do you? What do you? And you're
Which finger is it?
Yeah, did they do this in a mirror, and I'm looking at it backwards, and I can't get it right? And now it's on YouTube.
Now these guys. So, and there was a guy named Michael Amar, and he's a great friend of mine. I love everything he did, but he took the best.
The billboard guy.
No, but he's a famous magician. He took all the like, here's 5 books. Great books. Here's the best 2 tricks out of every book, and put it out on a video and showed everybody. So now you had all these people doing what took. I remember the trick called Triumph.
Oh yeah.
And great trick.
Yeah, great.
It took me 10 years to find the secret and to learn it and to be able to do it. Nobody would share it with me when I was really young. They kept going, "You're not ready. You're doing." So I'm doing it. I finally find the book that's in, and then I read it, and then he comes like, "Oh, here it is."
I love how there's like some like real like brotherhood, like you have to have like a specific like honor level. You're not ready.
Well, there used to be.
It really
used to be an honor code. You don't share your secret. You just don't.
And so the internet's kind of killed that.
Until you meet somebody that's worthy of hearing it. I mean, Delgado talked about it in his book, trying to meet one of the better card people, and it was like, I don't know, should I meet this kid? Should I, and finally got him, and then he earned his respect, and then he taught him. But there was an honor thing.
Yeah, and there's some great guys like that, Johnny Thompson and some older names, very funny, great people. It took them a while for them to accept me into their little group. They'd always be nice to you, but it wasn't until they saw me perform, and then it was like, all right, you're in.
Yeah, because you've done the work.
Yeah.
And there's a respect there. Matt King, I remember he used to do the clubs.
Yeah, he did.
And did them well.
See, he was
obviously.
doing it, a little bit after me, but he went the way y'all went, and I was too afraid to do that.
And Amazing
but
Jonathan.
Carrot Top was just coming up.
Remember the Amazing Jonathan?
I loved Amazing Jonathan.
Yeah, he was.
He was
a monster in the clubs.
Yeah.
But he
made fun of Matt. I didn't want to be him.
Right.
But
Carl Valentine.
Yeah,
he
loved
made
Carl.
fun. Yeah.
Both of those guys, and I met up and became friends with Carl at the end. Not great friends, but enough that I could go, "Hey, Carl."
Oh, that's great, man.
But he saw me. This is my favorite story with Carl. So I'm doing San Diego, and I'm doing the Straight Jacket, and they had a orchestra pit between me and the audience. And I noticed down there was 2 mattresses. Why they're there, I had no idea. So I go, this is going to be great. I'll fall in it and land on the mattress. And nobody's going to see that. And I'll make it like I fall. And so Carl's in the show. So, but it was a raked stage, and it was a magic convention, and 3 people fell off the stage. I was the first. So I go down there to fall, and now I actually really do fall, hit and broke 2 ribs, went down, flipped, landed inside on my back.
Was this in the straitjacket?
No, I was right before I got in it. So now I had to come back with a cracked rib and get in the straitjacket and do it, which is the worst in my life.
Yeah.
And
That would be so
but after the
painful.
show, Carl comes up. He goes, "I have to say, kid, best pratfall I've ever seen. But you're going to get hurt if you keep doing it that hard." I know. And he preached that at me for 10 minutes, and I'm going, I can't raise my arm, but I'm not going to let him know that that was an accident. I had to act like, yeah, I've been working on that flip. So he really he had tons of respect for me, even though it really, I didn't deserve any of it.
And for all the people watching this that have no idea who Carl Valentine is, I guarantee you he's got stuff on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
YouTube his name and go watch it. It's one of the I used to watch him on the Tonight Show on Ed Sullivan, and very funny guy.
I would want to be more like what my kids turned out to be. I didn't want these guys, Jonathan and them. Jonathan could do magic; it's good, but his act made fun of magic, kind of.
Right.
Like, this is what. And Carl's whole act was everything went wrong, nothing worked, and.
But you have to be adept at something to do it that well. It was like Norm Crosby taking the English language and chopping it to shreds. Can you imagine the kind of vocabulary it took to do his act?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's exactly you know what it was. I wanted to go. I want people to go. I want my character to be. He's an idiot. He might not all the way be there. We don't know if he's really saying, or is he really? Does he believe this? But then they go. But how do you do that?
Right.
Like what you just said at the end. It's kind of this is all stupid and dumb. But then how do you do that? I wanted that. How do you do that?
But every single thing you do, it's so funny because like. I've watched some magicians before where it's like, you know, the ta-da moment, and it's like, like it's this big deal. Yeah. You totally gloss over the like big, and you just keep rolling, and people are like, he's not going to mention that you just did this crazy thing. And am I allowed to talk about how the show starts?
Yeah.
Which ties into my next question, which is how did you get into magic? But like, at the opening, when you're cutting those things and you change the story to fit your mistakes, he's like, for people that don't know, he has all of these pieces of rope, and he's like, this magician in high school, I saw them do this trick, it was amazing. And then he cuts it, and it's like, let's say it's 4, he cuts it, and then he's like, 4, and then 1 and 2. Like you take this moment where you count and then you drop one, and it's like
accidentally. It looks like accidentally.
It looks like he accidentally, and he's like, he was really tired that day and couldn't bend down and pick it up.
His back hurt.
Yeah, which is a struggle. But anyways, and then
I'm going to put it all back together, a little shorter.
And then you just kind of chuck it, and you're like, you probably should have hired him. He was way better at this. Anyways,
absolutely.
Okay, so that was is that real? That's how you got into magic by someone doing that trick?
Somebody doing a trick, yes, but. Maybe not that one, but the X trick was one, the first ones I saw. The one I do after that. The rope trick became because I started filling in for Mike King in Las Vegas. And he was kind enough to let me go over there and fill in him at the Harris Hotel.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's great.
And so I did that for about 10 years. I'd go in, 2 or 3 times a year and do a week for him when he was gone. But they put signs up, but half the audience does it. They don't know if they bought tickets or they got comp tickets or whatever. Mm-hmm. They're there to see Mike King. I always told Mike, I could go out there and say I'm Mike King, and 75% of the audience wouldn't know the difference. They don't know who Mike King looked like. But so I would go, they go, ladies and gentlemen, Mike King is not going to be here tonight. Performing is his guest, and then they announce you. But what the whole audience, as soon as they say he's not there, the audience goes, oh. And they start looking for, like, how can we get out of here? This could be really bad, and we need to go. So I needed something to make them So at first, I remember with Harris across the street from Caesar, they'd go, Mike King's not here, and the car would go, oh. And I'd jump out and go, look, I didn't want to be here either. I wanted to be at Caesar's. And I'd jump back out. I thought it was funny, but they didn't know who I was. They were going they're going, what was that? So that didn't work.
Yeah.
So then I came up, there was a guy, Heba Al, used to do the rope trick and just say, I don't know how he does it. And so I said, I'll just start doing that. And I'd go, but they're all waiting, they're watching. They're going to give me one trick.
Well, the funny thing is, most people have been around. They know you're going to restore the rope.
That's
so
right.
when you don't,
it's like, so they want to go.
That's what cracked me up.
He's really cutting it good. Yeah. That's going to be great.
Then when it does it, scissors. I've never seen magic scissors.
Well, I opened for James Brown at the Ryman, and James does 20 minutes, probably the hottest 20 minutes I've ever seen in a concert. It was church. People at the Ryman were on their feet, they're stomping, everything. And he goes to the mic and he goes, hey, whatever he said. And he leaves. And some kid comes out, does torn and restored newspaper, and it's backlit, so you can see the load.
Oh, yeah.
So, and all the air goes out of the room. Everybody's talking. You could see the other paper. They're yelling over there. It was like the nightmare for a magician. And first of all, it had no place. So
it didn't make sense.
The best we figured is that he scored the pot for James, and the deal was I get to do my torn and restored news.
I got one trick.
Yeah, and James goes, I don't care. I'm gonna smoke a joint and I'll come back out. But so when you did the rope thing at the Fisher Center, I thought, if he restores this, I mean, that's just common. And then when you did what you did, I just lost it because 90% of the people are going, oh, it's just the old, I'm going to put the rope together, I'm going to take the knot, and I'm going to do that, And it's like, now you should hire me.
I don't know how you did it. And with Mike, I'd always go, Mike knows how. Y'all got screwed.
You got screwed, yeah. Mike would have done it right.
And then, but you know what? I thought what it did is it told the audience that I know that they're uncomfortable, that I'm not Mike. But then I also don't take myself too serious. So then they went, all right, let's give this guy a chance.
Right.
And it was the worst part, since she's seen my act, the first 3 tricks I do, none of them work. It's like the guy's bill doesn't work. I can't get anything right. And then when I finally do a trick that works, they're really excited.
Right. Oh my gosh.
He got one.
He's not totally inept.
But at the end, it all ends up, everything I did into that. And it was a time where I had a guy convince me, you need to restore that rope. And so at the end, I would pick it up and restore it. But then I thought, one time, second time I went, I'm never restoring that again. It's better to just leave it there.
Or you pick it back up and you go, darn it.
During the show.
I'm going to get this. Come back next week. I'm going to have it.
But I also did, I used to talk to high schools and used to share my testimony, so I learned how to talk about growing up in an alcoholic home and all that. And it turned out that I started doing the rope thing with high school kids because they're going magician.
Right.
And so now they're watching really close, and the rope thing just did something.
Right.
So that's why I'll always keep doing it. It just released them to go, all right, this guy doesn't take himself too serious.
That's the point. And Tammy, my beautiful, lovely wife, is one of those audience members that takes it personally if you fool her. I said to her, it's not a game, sweetheart. They're not sitting there trying to humiliate the people that are watching. The whole point is to distract you enough to where you say, God, how did he do that? So when we were at House of Cards, which, by the way, the guy that was performing said he was a very good friend of yours. I didn't believe him.
Okay.
Because I said, Stephen's the most antisocial human being I know. You have no good friends.
Caroline.
Yeah. So anyway, let's get into...
Carollynn.
Everyone does it. It's Carollynn, which I know is
which
hard
is
to
my
remember.
wife's name, so I have to
half your
remember.
Yeah.
But Caroline is from the song.
Right.
That's right.
So Caroline, sweet Caroline.
And you're not sweet, so I should be able to remember it. What you think?
Yeah, absolutely. She's vicious. And for an Antifa, she's okay. Ex-prisoner, ex-con. That's part of my prison ministry was bringing her into this.
Oh, great.
Your testimony. You and I kind of share similar, upbringings and stuff. And we were talking off air, and now we're going to talk on air about going forward with your career. Obviously, Nate has given you more visibility,
right.
Which is really kind of cool because I kind of experienced that with Dry Bar 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Where'd this guy come from?
That's right.
You know, holy
And
cow.
your whole life.
I've been around since
doing it.
1978, you know, and then it's like, holy cow, where did he come from? And then I got away from.
I had just on that really good friend of mine and a fan that comes to all my shows texted me the longest text about. We just found this guy, Jeff Allen, on Dry Bar. You've got to see him. He's got to be the next biggest thing. and that was within a month ago.
Oh, really?
She told me all that.
Well, that's interesting.
And I was just going, well, Jeff's been around a long, long time.
Right.
It's your fault for not knowing him.
Yeah, well, look at, you know.
But it's amazing. You did. You got a whole new group of people.
Well, they called him in, you know, and that's where I did almost 20 years at churches. So
Wow.
if you want to disappear from the public eye,
Right.
go
Cruises
into churches.
and churches.
Well, that's it. It's because it's
And what kind
it's
of-
their own
what kind
little
of
islands.
program?
It's their own little islands.
What is it? Clean comedy night?
Well, I
or
did
is
no.
it-
Well, I was the outreach. The goal was to get him in. I make him laugh for 45 minutes, and then I would share what the fall and the redemption and the restoration of God's love in our lives. And our story it's all over. Believe me, people who come to the clubs, they rarely, if ever, say, "Man, you're just it's we love your story. We found you because of the story."
Wow, that's awesome.
And I wanted to do outreach. I didn't even know what it was. When someone said, "You need to do outreach," I go, "What's that?" Well, people bring in lost people, and you. So I always looked at what I did as a seed planter. I just throw seed. I'm not looking for altar calls. I'm not looking for people to respond emotionally to what I do. Right. I'm just telling you, this is where I was. This is what happened. And then one day, and again, the argument, does Christ capture you, or do you make and I don't even want to get into that. I just know that when I was lost and now he's found. I love the testimony of the blind man, because the Pharisees come to him and go, "What did he do?" I don't know. I was blind and now I see. But no, did they hocus pocus because we think he's demonic? No, I don't know. I was blind and now I see.
Right.
And that's my testimony. I was blind and now I see. And I got to the point where I wanted to share that with the world, and I still do. I've gotten a lesson.
You do that now outside the church in the club,
the book
right?
has given me permission
to do that,
because I don't want to blindside anybody. I know how this culture is. So if I get them to buy the book and then they see, "Oh, Jesus is in here," I get an email, "You Christians and your Jesus," So I just want to tell people up front, this is,
Do they spell it like that?
My Jesus. In the Jesus. So we were talking, and that's where your head is. That's where your heart is, is sharing the gospel.
I have a different, because I did this when I was younger with younger people, and I'd go to youth. I spent a lot of time with youth. And the thing about, I just wanted, same, this is the way I was. And when I first started ever trying this, I spent too much time there. And I realized it's not, I was a jerk, and that's all you need to know. I don't need to know.
Well, only to kids at Opryland. But.
Yeah, those kids. But believe me, I was a jerk.
No, but that's what I did. Bill Gaither told me once, I've never seen anybody go that long in a testimony and not mention Jesus' name. And that was eye-opening to me. It was he was right. I spent the last 5 minutes talking about it.
Right.
So,
I went through all of that way. And then if I ever gave an invitation, people would come up, teenagers and younger people would always come up and go, I'm thinking they're going to go, "Your testimony's so great. So how do I pray," or whatever? And they go, "How'd you do the bowling ball trick? And how'd you do this trick?" And so they're just there to meet that celebrity who they think is a celebrity. So I always went, "I'll never do that." I say, "I'll talk, I'll share. You get somebody out there to do it. If you want an invitation or you want to invite them to your church, you do that. I don't want to ever be a part of that." And sometimes I think that's not the best policy, but that's where I ended up. But then now with Nate, I've had a great life. I mean, God's blessed us, our family and everything. But I've had the applause. I've been blessed enough to
win the awards,
make the money, have enough money that I raised a family, and I raised 3 great kids. I got 7 great grandkids and all that stuff. I don't need any of that anymore. I think I'm where you are now. Where I think every show should have something that I'm giving them more. about who I am and what that and who God is and what He can do.
Well, when I started with the church, God put it on my heart. You have to give something back. They're paying you with tithes and offerings.
Wow, never thought of that.
So what are you giving in the form of ministry? And all I had was a story. That was it. I'm not a biblical scholar. I try to study. I need people to interpret things for me, explain things for me. I have an intellect on certain things, and biblical exegesis is not one of them. But I had a story, and it was honest, and it was from the heart, and I never once wanted to leave them with the impression that I got it all together. And the show we're working on based on the book, we're hoping that we can convey that story, what an honest walk with Jesus looks like from a broken human being.
Right.
And it's this stumble, stand up, stumble. It's not a straight line trajectory to heaven. It's this. And the blessing I've been given is that in the clubs now, people are able to bring their lost friends, which they wouldn't come to a church to see.
No.
So for the longest time, I had half an audience that would go to the church to see me, wouldn't go to the nightclub because alcohol was served.
Right.
And then I got the other half that won't step foot in the church because it's church.
Alcohol's not served.
Not served, right. And unless you want to communion,
It's just not enough.
It's not enough.
Hit me again.
So there was this this split within the people who liked the comedy.
Right.
And
Well, the
you're at a
comedy's
point-
good.
But
and
you're at a
that's
point
what-
now because of the exposure you got, where one, you can pick and choose
Right.
your work a lot better.
Right. And you know what? Credit to Nathan, my son, who at first, when I started going out with him, I wanted to.
He does comedy too?
He dabbles.
Dabbles. I know. Yeah, bless his heart.
Bless his heart.
Bless his heart. I know.
He went up to him. I remember he said, Jeff's going to be there tonight. I go, oh, we love Jeff. And he goes, yeah, I know, I love him. I'm going to talk to him. And Jeff could just buzz him off like, hey.
I didn't know who he was, honestly. And then the MC comes over and says, what do you want me to say, Nate? He goes, I'll be on Jimmy Fallon's show tomorrow night. And I went, what? I worked my butt off. I never got on Fallon. I never got on Tonight's show. Anyway, I walk out. He goes on stage. I go, who's that? And they go, you don't know Nate Bargatze? I go, I'm telling you, man, I stopped watching comedy 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody. So I went home and watched his Netflix special, and the next week I saw him. I said, man, do I owe you an apology? Now I sound like one of these people. I'm only nice to people who are successful.
That's right. You made it.
But I was. But again, I don't know people, and I come off as, I have this, resting face. So I have to really. I had a guy who discipled me. You don't smile at all. And he goes, not a lot to smile about, Phil.
Yeah.
So anyway, he says, you need to learn to smile. You're a scary guy.
Oh, wow.
So you need to smile more. So I'm not kidding you. I worked in the mirror. I was like, it was so hard. I worked on my smile.
Don't do that.
Yeah. So
That's
anyway,
worse.
I'm sitting in a room.
That's a good smile right there.
I've said this before, and I hope it never hurts Jeff's feelings, but he looks like Jeff Dunham's.
Yes, that's what
Walter.
I exactly.
And it doesn't. I've gotten that all over. People go, if they ever do a live
That's
version.
what I swear. I promise. That's what when he did that, I went. That
You know
looks
what,
like
though?
Walter.
Yeah.
That's probably really good for Nate, because like for younger comics, when he walks in the green room, like it's almost like the Pope walks in. Everybody gets really quiet, and they're like, "Act normal." Like,
Yeah, like this.
So it's probably really good to run across like
No, it is
old
good.
school comics that
It
are
is
just
good.
like, "You're just a normal
Yeah,
dude
yeah.
to me."
But he has great respect for the older guys and the people that went before him. He really does. And what we were saying there, when I started working with him, I thought, okay, I need to be the funniest guy on the show next to Nate. I need to show them that Nate's dad's funny. But then Nathan, after a while, he hangs around some great guys. They're all very good. And they're doing it every night and stuff. So Nate goes, you don't have to be funny. Share our brand, our story.
Very cool.
And so now the main trick I do is really with that Rubik's Cube thing where it's just about that everybody thinks we're solved, and yet we're really all mixed up. Because we're not this. Our family's this. We have a lot of junk. But we also know that God has a purpose for all of us, and our purpose is laughing. I can share a story about laughter and how laughter changed our family and what it does. And he He goes, that's what you need to do.
Right.
And at first I kind of went, well, I want to be funny.
Right.
Let me do that. But nope, he's right. The show's funny enough without me. They don't need that. They just, the sincere, when I can talk about him and say stuff and what it means. And I'm very happy that he sees that.
Yeah, Tammy told me once, she says, you're probably not even aware of this because I don't really follow myself on social media.
Yeah.
And she said, your faith, your honest sharing faith stories outview your comedy videos 10 to 1.
I wouldn't even know how to look that up.
I wouldn't either. She just follows the numbers. She just looks and goes, cause, she's on the feed.
Because we know the world, that's what they need. That's what, I'm sorry, but we're all broken. We were talking before this thing started.
Right.
And your childhood and yours and your mother's and all that stuff. I just go, my story's nothing. And everybody has those problems. We all just need to have that connection.
Right.
A Rubik's Cube bit that he does, am I allowed to talk about it? It's okay.
Yeah, you can. I was going to do it, but somebody broke it. I dropped my whole case and broke the whole thing. It would have been really funny.
However you present it changed Brent and I that day so much. This is so silly, but we're getting the Rubik's Cube tattooed on us, both of us. That's how powerful it is. It totally changes it's like a theological lesson wrapped up in God's mercy and his plan for your life. And it's like, he has this, I don't want to give away the bit, which is hard, but it's true. I mean, it's true that God...
Well, it's cool. It gives us a visual.
Yeah.
Prepares us.
It's a pretty cool trick by itself.
It's
not
an amazing
my trick,
trick by
but
itself.
It's a great trick.
But it'll
Taylor
never...
Hughes is the guy who...
Everyone that was there that saw that and heard the testimony behind it, I mean, I'll carry that with me for the rest of my life. And now...
On your arm now, apparently.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So true. Yeah, you'll have to sign it. No. It's so great. And just it was just a tangible way for someone that might be in the audience that maybe doesn't understand what Christianity is about to have a visual and to be like, oh, I am this messed up, broken person, and I don't need a big sermon, and I don't need some fancy emotional song, but this guy that's making me laugh and my guard's already down, and then I can see that God's grace is working and moving and loving us through this just funny, obscure thing, and you'd never think like this gift of magic and doing tricks could translate that powerfully. And it's just so beautiful to see how God's gifted you and how you're giving that back to the community.
Well, give me chills, but thanks.
But also, I got into Alcoholics Anonymous. I was not raised in a church.
I thought you started it.
I was close. Me and Bill. Yeah, but I didn't have the baggage of religion that so many of these people have. My wife was raised by deacons that Monday through Saturday were not kind. So when the gospel came to me, it shattered every illusion. It was so interesting to me. In my comedy act during those years, in my 30s, I made fun of all of those televangelists, every last one of them. And after becoming a believer, God put me in their employ. I worked for every one of them.
Oh, wow. From
Pat Robertson to Jerry Falwell to Copeland. I met them all. And were you raised in the church?
Yeah.
By people who didn't actually live it? Or
no, my parents didn't go at all, and but they made us go. I just went to Catholic schools, and that was just everybody did. And I got in a lot of trouble as a kid and stuff like that. So if you got in trouble, you had to be altar boy. You had to do it. We had a convent, so you had to be a altar boy for the 6 o'clock mass at the convent. And then school would be, starts at 7:30 or 8. So I would walk. So I was always, that just became my job. I just thought, I'd just go, all right, I'll be it. Because I'm going to do something next week. I hit a nun with a chalk eraser once. I went just to be funny, so I throw it, and I'm right here. She turned around and went, with chalk all over. So I go, 2 months, I'll be there.
That was me. I used to assume the position. I used to just grab the desk and bend over, and you go ahead, get the wax out, let's go. You know?
But I'd get the wax, and I had to be the altar boy. But I also had some...
That's more painful than the wax.
There's something so sad about being an altar boy, which is such a gift and a blessing, that they were using it as a punishment. That hurts me.
Well, they knew their kids.
They did.
I just love the idea that you had a little steel lunchbox and you're just like going to work like a little factory worker.
Good morning. But you get to see the nuns in the wild. They would not have their hair. They have real hair and stuff like that. I used to freak me out.
Yeah.
But I had some awesome nuns.
That's good.
I mean, make me cry. They loved me. You know, they punished me, but with love. I mean, they hugged on me and they did that and they'd ask, but then they beat me just as bad because, you know, like, who cared? That's part of the love. Yeah, smack, get over here. You know better than that. Yeah, I know, sister. I'm sorry.
Yeah. To the millennials. It was a rough life.
We know we got beat by our neighbors. Could beat you.
I know.
You did something bad to your next door neighbor. I had to hit your kid today with a stick. Well, it's okay.
That was one of the things where I said, if you got in trouble at school, you didn't go home and tell your parents you got in trouble at school, because my father, I always used to say, my father punished first and then asked.
Yeah.
So I'd go, I got detention at school. Why?
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah. So you kept it to yourself. You didn't want them to know. And my parents always sided with the teacher. Always. They hated me. I knew it, you know, and they'd go, they don't hate you, you know, just stop it. Stop it. We're tired of the phone calls. We're tired of having to go down. So the last thing you wanted was your parents to have to get in a car and drive to school.
Oh, the worst.
That was...
Okay, but to be fair, for the millennials, I had to sit in timeout, and I had to pull a tag, and some days I wouldn't get a gold star sticker. So,
Wait.
Bless her heart.
My timeout was in a closet with a lock on it, so I was in there to get out.
In a hot box.
It was
22 feet below sea level.
It was for real. Behind the thing, they put me in there, and they went to lunch and forgot me in there. And so I was in there like for 2 hours.
That was
an
his
hour
first
for that,
escape
and I
trick.
come back for lunch, and some kid, I go, I'm out. But
so there was nuns that were good to you.
even the mean ones were good to me in a way. So for that, I always told a story. I remember, and I was altar boy again, 3rd, 4th grade.
Supervisor.
I did the.
It's just a shame that all that skill couldn't have been used to make like a vocation.
Yeah.
You know, put it on your resume.
Yeah.
I was an altar boy, which
Altar
means
boy.
you're a troublemaker.
Yeah.
Anybody that knows, we're not hiring you. I was an altar boy
no
7 straight
way.
years. You know?
I did midnight mass once as a kid, and I remember no
Second
need
shift.
to get home.
Second shift.
Second shift.
I worked midnights at the factory.
Those midnight masses are tough. Yeah. But I remember someone gave me a cupcake or something, and I just remember I took it and I put it on the altar and just said, "We're going to celebrate your birthday, me and you." And I gave it to God and left it there. But I just remember I had that love of God. Didn't know him like that. I knew of him. I could tell you who he was and his story, but I didn't know him. But I always, even as a kid, had that.
So when was the moment? Was it a tragic moment or just
accepting Christ?
Well, that the true where the revelation. I always said I wanted an explanation for years. What I needed was the revelation. The revelation came point. Years into it.
Right.
And when that hit, I knew it. I knew the moment.
Right.
And I could tell you where I was and where I was at in my life at that time.
Right. Mine was definitely a process too. Because again, that part, I didn't understand what was happening. So I go to not a Catholic church, a Baptist church, and they're yelling at me. It's like I remember, how did this guy know about my life? They're only talking about me, and I'm the only one. But I didn't hear the gospel. I know preachers think you hear it. I didn't understand it. I just felt the Holy Spirit. I felt my heart beating real fast, and and I'd seen Price is Right. I know if you go down, you get something. So I thought, I want to see what they're doing down there.
I love that.
You had a big yellow name tag.
I was looking for that gold star. Maybe something will happen. So I really just went down to see. And this church, bless their heart, they just said, all right, man, you're a Christian. Cut that hair, quit listening to your music. And they gave me all these rules. Well, okay, I could do that.
Really?
And I did that for a while. And dressed like them. They give me the old mothball clothes because I was a hippie and all that stuff. So I tried to be what they wanted me to be, but still not knowing and truly understanding what grace was. And I actually, even with the school and all this stuff, but it took me so long to really figure out. Because I remember talking to some other people from Latter-day Saints, and they were, if you wanted to know about Jesus, I would go, I got a guy that can tell you. You come talk to my pastor.
Right.
And I would always, that was always me, either through college and school and everything. I took them. I never could do it myself. And so this guy was just begging me. He goes, why do you know you're right? And I go, I think, because he told me I'm right. And I just remember personally one day writing a list of why I'm going to heaven. And I started off with, I don't drink anymore. I don't curse. Cut my hair. I go to church every day. I do all of this. And I made this big long list. And then the Holy Spirit just kind of told me, where am I at in that list?
Right.
And I was going like, oh, I don't need you. I'm doing pretty good on myself.
Right.
So that was my eye-opening moment when I realized, why can't, and at that time I'd given up magic because a guy in the church told me it was wrong and all of that stuff. And so that was the only good thing I ever had that
Well, I think
I
it was
could do
the
that nobody else.
sacrificing goat bit was a little uncomfortable.
I just don't like goats. Nothing to do with this. But that was my eye-opening moment when I realized that list didn't involve him.
Well, that's it. When I was being discipled by a Christian, basically he told me, he said, it's pretty simple. It's Jesus.
He said, yeah.
When someone says it's Jesus, but you got to do these things.
Yeah, the but.
Then just run. It's not. And I was 5 or 6 years in to this walk and realized I was still behaving in certain ways and I couldn't stop. I was just, and I was ready to chuck it. I just said, I can't do it anymore. And a friend of mine said, so God's grace isn't enough for you.
Yeah.
And I said, what do you mean? And he goes, you keep trying to work your way in there, man.
Right.
And so here I am, never raised in a church, never was given that baggage that people had, the religious baggage. And within 6 years, I was a full-blown legalist on my own.
Well,
It's naturally human to think you can work your way into something that's freely given to you.
right.
And it's hard to get my head around it because of the self-esteem issues of why would he? That was what used to break me all the time. When I finally hit me that I needed Jesus, I looked at my friend and said, why would he want me?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And he said, what are you saying? I said, blasphemy. I denied him. I cursed him. All that. And he goes, yeah, so did everybody else. And he still went to the cross for us. And it's a beautiful picture of when he looks down and he says, forgive them. And it's hard because we want to figure out the formula to have the utopian life or the peace. And I realized that the peace comes amidst the storm. I love the picture, we've all seen it, of the bird in the crevice and the rock in the storm. And God is protecting the bird from the raging storms. And that's the relationship that I want with my Lord and Savior. I want to be able to just be comforted knowing that he's there. The promises are true. In order to know that, you have to read the book. You have to study the book. So you got to the point where it was about grace. How old were you?
At that time,
were you raising kids at that point?
Yeah. Nathan was already probably about 4 or 5. But again, Nathan always jokes about that when he was born, we were the most Christian. So I in the beginning of his birth and everything, I was working it. Yeah. I was trying to work it, and I worked it. I mean, I did, you can look at my life, and I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was trying to be super nice, and and just trying to make him, because I kind of felt like my name may be in the book, but he's got an eraser there, and he's just kind of gradually going, well, that ain't too good, that ain't too. So I was, what would I do? What could I do to earn this? And then, but once I gave it to him and just go, he likes me, warts and all of this stuff, and then everything just opened up, and he gave me back the magic. And I don't regret to this day quitting magic when that guy told me to. It was the most important thing in my life. It was what I wanted. I thought I had to be this guy. I spent all my money, time, effort. It was my God in a way. But so for me to walk away from it all was very important at the time I walked away. And I walked away for about 2 years before then, when all this was happening.
So you didn't touch cards or anything?
Nothing.
Really?
Yeah, I came back here and we were starving. They were... Bennigan's, a restaurant here, had Halloween thing, and they go, just come do card tricks, give you $100 a night. Well, in the 80s, that's like $100 million. I was going, $100 a night? I can remember some card tricks. And so I learned two that I used to do that was really good, and I started doing that and making it. And so then I saw Andre Cole. A lot of people might not know him, but he was a Christian. He used to do Campus Crusade for Christ. And I went and saw him. He did, and I still model my shows like him. He did an hour and a half show. He did an hour of just pure great illusions and everything that Copperfield and all these guys do his tricks. And then he would say, we're going to take a break, and we'll come back. I'm going to share my life, how I changed in God, and then I'm going to do this unbelievable trick. That's how he kept you. He's going to do this. So you would want to go see that last trick, but then you had to sit through him, the gospel, and him sharing. And so that's why that's what we're doing now. We do our show. And I just spit on her. But did you see it? I saw the big spit. I just baptized.
It's a sprinkle.
Carollynn.
What's wild now is I can do 2 magic tricks. So excited.
So
he bestowed his gift of magic on me.
That's right. She.
Which, by the way, we're going to take time to mention that Stephen will do a magic trick before the end of this podcast.
Yeah, so you got to hang on.
So you got to hang on.
Yeah, but that's what we do. You're using the comedy to earn the right to be heard.
Well, it was,
and that's what he does. And that's what he did, and that's why. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm also interested in the beginning of my life. I had a mom with a lot of mental problems and just was cruel and mean and did stuff and I spent way too much time there. And now I think my story's better because I ended up with mercy and grace and reconnecting. I mean, I didn't. She died in 2020. I mean,
from COVID.
From
right?
COVID.
Right.
So that's not long ago.
Right.
And so I went my whole life with never really reconciling and getting anything right with my mom, trying to, because I didn't know how to talk to her about God. I would always tell her she's just going to hell. And that doesn't work.
Oddly enough.
You would think it would be enough.
I should have tried that with my dad. Okay, fine, but you're going to hell. Okay, gee, why won't he talk to me?
It was just uncomfortable because you gifted her a Mother's Day coffee cup that said you're going to hell. That was the harsh. That was the line.
Yeah. It was red, had flames. It was nice. I thought it would make the point.
Yeah. And it was hot to touch. You think that's hot.
You just wait, Mama.
But to go back, I think, like what we said, people, they need to hear this kind of stuff. A lot of people have problems with. Some people have awesome parents, and I hope you.
Well, there's all kinds of testimonies. I mean, I've heard testimonies of people who were born in the church, raised in the church, lived their life like you've lived for the last 3 decades or 4 decades, but still fell, realized that they had all the right language, they had all the right things, but they had no relationship with our Lord and Savior. Right. And I love the movie The Apostle with Robert Duvall because of the way he prayed to God. It's me, Sonny. Oh, I messed up again. It's me, Sonny. Lord, it's me, Sonny. And I've started praying that way. It's me, Jeff. It's I know you know. It's funny. Now when I talk about we're involved with an organization called the Anti-Predator Project, and I talk about the Tikkun Olam, which in the Jewish faith is repairing the world. So I say, when you get on your knees and complain to God about a broken world, his response is, yeah, I know. You know, it's not like he's going, I was so focused on Jeff's 3-foot putts. All those prayers keep coming in. I lost track of that trafficking thing.
That's right.
So to have that relationship and to be able to share that really is the gift of the Holy Spirit.
That's right.
And the hearts that it touches, again, are not on you. That's what it took me a while to realize, you know. And I got disappointed in the churches I was working that kept track of numbers. We had 22 commitment. We had 9 commitment. We had, you know, and it's like, to me, it's not a numbers game. It's like literally throw it out there and let the Holy Spirit water those seeds. And it might be 5 years later. I mean, I've gotten the emails from people who said, I first saw your testimony a decade ago. And it's taken till now for me to really,
wow, that's awesome.
For it to, you know, so you go, thank you. I mean, so and I tell people, again, when you put your head on the pillow at night, the question that I ask is, am I doing enough? And that's the prayer at night. Use me as an instrument for thy will. So going forward, you've got more notoriety and more visibility than you've ever had. And your heart is to share this, to get more people.
Right.
Because I believe culturally, we're lost.
Yep.
You know, and the church in a lot of ways has gotten into numbers.
And gotten in the way.
And yeah. So working forward, where are you working? So people can find you.
We're the same age, so
Yeah.
you should know I don't do social media or understand it or do anything like that.
Has Abby done that, your daughter?
Abigail, my daughter, who works with Nate, she's the one that promotes me. And I would be retired, but since I give her a cut of all the percentages, she gets 20%. She keeps me working. She goes, oh, I got to make this car payment. Got to get Dad a job, and which is fine. But she knows where my heart is and kind of what it is. I still do a little bit of everything. I mean, I just kind of go, I'm at the point where I want to do the shows I want to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And stuff. And I mean, that's how we met. Just I don't even know why I was on that show.
The Ramsey Cruise? Yeah.
No,
so
but before even that, we met the week before.
Oh,
we were
both
just a random
we
thing
were both
that I was
running
there.
stuff to get ready for the cruise.
Oh, that's right. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Oh, so that was at Zany's?
Yeah, we met
Yeah.
at Zany's on a Monday night.
Yeah.
And speaking of Abby, I'm sorry that I posted your story. I forgot about that. I felt so bad about it.
No.
So
You
bad
didn't get
about
in
that.
trouble.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
You weren't the only one that did it either, so you're all right.
Oh, thank
No,
God.
but we, Abby's just busy enough. I like to just a couple times a month just to go out and still do things. But I don't even, I'm off for 2 weeks. Next week I'm in New York for a week and then doing a magic thing. And so I got a little bit of that going. I've been getting it asked the churches.
That's what I was going to say. You know,
Yeah, and I don't know how to handle that. And,
make a plea to the churches.
yeah, that's why I was asking you about. Do you call it a clean comedy night, or do you? So I'm new enough in all of this that I don't know. I just want to. I don't think I'm a Sunday morning guy at all. I don't want to ever be a Sunday morning.
Well, it's
I could
funny
be
you
a
say
Sunday
that
night
because
or
I've done a lot of Sunday mornings, and I naively thought that I could do the comedy to loosen them up. I finally got to the point where I go, you can put your Bibles away because there won't be a need for the next 45 minutes for that. I'm just here to tell a story, and that's
Wow,
it.
that's good.
But I would try to do stand-up, and it felt weird.
Yeah.
Because if I'm in the audience at a church service and I don't know who this guy is, and he's talking about his wife the way I talk about my
That's right.
wife, they're
going. He needs to go forward.
I used to push him to do a Saturday night comedy show
Yeah.
and then do a Sunday morning service, and then I'll go home.
Oh wow.
And then that way I could just walk up. They're familiar with the comedy. They're familiar with me, whether they knew me or not prior to. And then to be able to stand up there and share the restoration. And I'm more focused now on that than being a dirtbag. But it was interesting. I was on my knees one day, and I said, I'm tired of talking about. And then what I got from that little voice said, "It's my story, it's not yours, and you'll tell it till I give you another one." And
Wow.
so,
Well, I'm at that point.
I'll be
He's
telling
giving
that
me
story.
I think he's giving me another one now.
Yeah.
And when I ran away,
Well, how
ended up-
How about we work together? I go out and talk
Yeah.
about what a dirtbag I was, and then you come up and talk about grace and mercy.
That's right.
Because I couldn't stand this guy.
That's right. I didn't want to work.
I don't even like him, but if it wasn't for the Holy Spirit, we wouldn't be able to sit in the same room together.
And all of our promotional ads that we did for the show, we did at the Fish House.
Yeah.
That was exactly that.
Yeah.
I'd go up and Jeff would say, "I'm going to go talk to somebody." And I'd go, "I don't know this guy. This guy don't know any." And then he'd come back and just wear me out.
Yeah.
I love that kind of that humor and everything about that. I'm talking a lot more now about the real mother in my life. Her name was Melinda, and Bargatze and Smith is her name now. But when I ran away, my cousin came and got me, and I did not know this at the time, but my father had called him. I had tried to take my life. I had ended up in a rehab in a place for crazy people.
And you're at what age?
I'm 17.
17.
And so he, I remember they picked me up. He said, "You do this again, I'll kill you." I went, "Well, that's smart." And but he did call my cousin, and so my cousin was a coach in Nashville at Vanderbilt University, and I would always tell all the stories, the bad things what my mom did to me. That was my old story, and just how I overcame that. How I was a special ed student because of the way I talked, and I got to go to college, and how I made it to college, and how I graduated, and all this stuff, and but. Now it's more like, so I come down here 17 years old, I know nothing, anything. I don't know my dad called him. I didn't find out till at his funeral that he had did that. And so Melinda, Ronnie was at Vanderbilt at the time because he was recruiting and basketball was very busy. He was gone a lot, so it was me and her. And she was the first mothery person that was lovely. And I had gotten hurt and beat up and injured with a fight with my parents, and they'd broken my shoulder, and my bone was sticking up, and it just fell down some steps and pushed a little bit, but I couldn't raise my arm. So Ronnie got that fixed. So I'm having surgery, I'm like this, everything's taped down and everything, I'm staying at her house, and she came by me one day, she goes, "God, you're starting to stink. You taking a shower?" I go, "I can't take a shower." And I said, "I've tried to wash," and she goes, "Go get some shorts on." And she ran a bath for me. And I'm 17 years old. And she bathed me.
Yeah.
And I just remember going, why is this woman even touching me? And why is she doing any of this? I mean, I couldn't understand that kind of love from somebody that I didn't really know her that well.
You only know what you know.
Right. And it just blew me away. And I remember not shortly after that, I lied to her. I did something that I told her. I went somewhere I wasn't supposed to be, and I told her a lie, and she found out. And she came to me, she started crying, and she said, "Why would you lie? I can't believe." And my heart was destroyed. And I was just going, "Please hit me. Just slap me. Pick up something, hit me. Don't cry."
I know that. That's I used to tell Tammy when I heard her. I go, "Please, hit me with a shovel."
Yeah, I feel way better.
I would.
Yeah. So she did exactly, and I just remember I'll never hurt her, and to this day I would never hurt her. I love her more than anything. She was my first real, true what I learned what love can be like, what it's supposed to be like. Her and Ronnie and their sacrifice, and then how they just turned. So I want to talk about her, and then how the process of how I had to give. I'm seeing my mom. I don't talk to my mom, and I see her the day before she dies. And how God orchestrated it that I got to go in there and see her in the hospital. And I really thought that day was about me, that God was going to make my mom say she's sorry. I thought she's about to die. My mom doesn't know Nate, and she didn't know none of my grandkids. She knows none of my children, never was involved in my life. So she gets to apologize and maybe go to heaven, say, ask me for forgiveness, not...
Right.
And then, so I thought, this is great. And I get up there. She's all hooked up to everything. She can't talk but with her eyes. And then she, I didn't need to hear it from her. I knew right away. I needed to tell her I was sorry.
Right.
I should have been a better son. I should have made her know my kids. I have awesome kids, awesome family. I should have made her see them, and I never took them around her. I should have been a better son. I stole a car when I was young. I tried to take my life. Let some parent live with that. Your kid killing themselves because of you. Right. And I never apologized for any of this stuff to her.
Right.
And that was just for me, and this is what I want to talk about now. It's more, that's when I never understood grace and mercy, and that, grace is given to us. Mercy we can only receive that with somebody that's not asking. My mom needed mercy.
We all need mercy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, she was never going to ask me. She could have never done what I went in there thinking she was going to do. Impossible for my mom. But she could accept the mercy from me. And then I prayed with her to receive Christ. And I believe in all my heart I'll see her in heaven, and I'll get to know my mom, because I believe she accepted it. And the next morning my sister saw her an hour before she died, and she prayed with her too. It's okay, mine doesn't work, but you never know. But that's the story I want to tell now, because I think everybody has. It's
a great story. I'm living it now with my son.
Yeah.
They're distancing themselves from us for whatever reason it is. I believe it's demonic.
Yeah, it can be,
because we're extending as much. We've asked for forgiveness. We've begged for forgiveness. But the heels are dug in and the pride is kicked, and so it is not up to us now.
Right, you're right.
We're praying that the Holy Spirit takes their hearts, takes their minds, takes their homes, whatever it does, whatever that is, I don't know. But it's heartbreaking. And I had that conversation with my son today. The two boys haven't spoken in 5 years over something.
Wow.
And I said, so the next time you see your brother, is going to be in a coffin? Do you have any idea what that's going to do to you? Take it from an old man, who has piles of regrets. Yeah. And that's what I tell audiences every night. I go, I'm clinging to those words in the Bible that I'll see my mother again.
Right.
I may not see my dad. I know he dug his heels in.
Right.
But if I see my mother, I got a lot of amends to make. Like you just said, there's things I need to, I can't think of it. 20 years, I didn't send a Mother's Day card.
Yeah.
Same. How hard is that?
Yeah.
And then finally my father lambasted me. It wasn't until I got married. And then my kids not sending their mother a card or calling them and seeing what it did to Tammy. And I told Tam, sins of the father, pass to the sons.
Yeah.
And I started sending my mother Mother's Day cards, but it was way too late for that,
I don't know if it's too late, but
yeah,
I never did, and I never really thought about it. Thanks for bringing that one to my mind. I need to go back here. There's something else, Mom. All those cards you didn't get.
Yeah.
And stuff.
But you think it's, again, whether it's rationale or, it wasn't vindictive.
Right.
I didn't say, it's Mother's Day, I could send my mom a card. I had no animosity towards my mother. I called her, talked to her twice a week for years, But to acknowledge that day, I didn't realize, and I told her that. I said, Mom, I didn't realize it. Showing up, calling on birthdays and things. I
didn't do none of that.
It wasn't out of vindictiveness. It wasn't out of spite. It was just, and I always tell people, if your life's full of acrimony, wait till you get to apathy.
Right.
When you don't care. That's what happens to a 17-year-old. You just get to a point.
Part of my old testimony was I hated my mom, but she hated me first. So I felt like it was okay.
Right.
And which is, but that was my excuse for not doing all of this stuff, or I'm not going to talk to her, I'm not going to send it. And I did it for the wrong reason. I wanted her to think about me every Mother's Day, so that he's not sending anything, or that maybe, but I don't think she ever did. I didn't, but as a Christian, I didn't hate her anymore, but I didn't need her, or I don't know if I didn't love her, but I just okay, that's the way she was. She had problems, bless her heart, all that stuff. But what do I have to do about that? I can't,
Right.
And so that was the mercy thing. God did that for me. Yes, I needed that time with her, and but so maybe that's just where we are. There is hope for anybody that.
Yeah, it's not too late.
No,
It's not too late to look into your life and see where those relationships have been damaged or pulled, to reach out and ask for mercy if you're the one that needs it, or to extend mercy, to understand. That was one of the things that was so easy for me, was because God had convicted me so much of my sin that when I got on my knees, extending grace and mercy, knowing what was extended to me. I mean, I really got it. When Jesus said, be careful of the standard you basically use to judge another, because that standard will be used on you. So I took that very to heart. Like, who am I not to extend grace and mercy? I mean, and that's what I'm trying to tell my sons. You guys we all have needed people in our lives to extend grace and mercy to us. Yeah. Remember that. The humbling moments where you ask for forgiveness, or you ask for someone to set aside the hurt that I did. Right. I had a friend, I owed him $200 for years. And one day he wrote me a letter. This is back again, millennials, before texting and emails. He wrote me a handwritten letter.
And $200 was a lot of money.
A lot of money. And he wrote me a long letter saying that I know you owe me this money, and I've always been hesitant to ask for it, And I called him. I picked up the phone immediately and called him and said, I'm so sorry I put you through that. You're right. You're right, 100% right. And I'm sorry that I put you through the fact that you had to write a letter to me. And I not sending you the 200. No, I didn't say you can come and take that 200 out of my body. You can beat me senseless and you're not getting that deuce.
I thought this was a comedy podcast. I'm way off. It turned into...
No, we are.
No, but it all does come back. Even, I think a funny story was, I got asked to do my mom's eulogy. And I did
too.
I would think, and I would think she would roll over in the grave of all of her kids.
He
and
made
everybody.
her disappear out of the casket. So impressive.
That would have.
But by then you had a different heart.
Oh yeah.
And it would have been a completely different speech prior to the 2020.
I talked about grace and mercy. I still have it in my Bible. What I said, and but also being back, because we are a funny family, and just the things happen. We had so many funny things. Some lady shows up, really thick Coke bottle glasses, and she had a big paper clip holding her glasses together, and she said, and we'd never heard of her, seen her in our life ever, and she goes, your mother always said that she wanted me to sing at her funeral. So my sister goes, well, why not sing two? And I went, two? Let's hear the one. And it was, and then our family just...
Yeah, who are you to argue? I'm telling you, she told me. And you go, I don't know.
And then my family clapped after the first one, and I was up there because I'm doing it. She was okay. Yeah. She wouldn't get kicked out of karaoke, but she's not going to make town. But she was fine. Yeah. But it was just funny, the song she chose to sing.
It was weird that she's saying, man, I feel like a woman.
Send in the clowns. Where are the clowns?
But our family clapped. And I was up front, and because I'm up there to do the thing, and I'm going, you don't clap at a funeral for a singer and stuff. And then I had to, Nathan goes, well, we got to pay her. I said, I don't know. Let me find out. I go over there. I go, how much will a new pair of glasses cost you? She said, about $300. I go, well, you need to pay her $300. So we paid her whatever just to get some. But
you paid an opener? I
had to pay the funeral.
Right.
And so... The funniest thing for me...
That's on her resume now, by the way.
Yeah.
I sang at the Bargatze.
Open for Nate.
Open for... Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah.
The funniest part for me was, so I get up there, and my mom, her funeral's on my 40th anniversary.
Oh, wow.
So we have to do this, and so I get up there, and, you're just hectic. And it just, I just thought of it, but it was one of my great moments. I go, before we get started, I want to recognize my wife. Today is our 40th anniversary. And, honey, I haven't had time to go out and get anything like that, but I have a pretty good idea that after this service, I'm going to get you some flowers. That's a Bargatze.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's great.
That's how we laugh. That's how we roll.
Yeah. my mom's funeral, I looked right at my dad and I said, the beauty of Mom's life is she never kept a scorecard.
Oh, how great is that?
My father kept a scorecard his entire life.
Yeah.
He could talk about slights that happened to him 35, 40 years earlier.
Right.
And I just love the fact that my mother, they could have never made it if she didn't forgive.
Right.
Constantly. She taught me of what a grace-filled life looks like, because she had 3 lunatic men in her life.
Right.
You know, my father, my brother, and I, that caused her a lot of grief. And she did it with grace and panache and never held a grudge. So
awesome.
for that I was grateful. But yeah, my father.
A lot of people do it. People don't know that she's broken just as bad as we are, and she's over here being all quiet and everything. We've heard her story. Let me tell you. No.
Well,
Yeah.
I
Look at this.
Yeah, you don't
something went wrong somewhere.
Something.
Her husband talks about her tats, and I love how you can get your mental illness
Diagnosable by the stuff you put on your
body.
skin.
Yeah.
He says that my arm's the DSM-5.
That's awesome.
Sweet guy. We're going to make it.
I hope so.
No, I was thinking about in AA where they talk about making amends and how you shouldn't make amends with someone if it's going to do more harm than good.
Right.
And
Right.
a spiritual father of mine told me one time that the difference between a prayer and a suicide note is one's addressed to God. And so sometimes when I'm really struggling with things with my ex-husband or my father or my mom, and I know it'll bring more harm into their life to speak about it, in my prayer corner, I write out a letter to them, and I just bring a physical, tangible, these are my thoughts on paper, right to God. Because sometimes people are just like, pray about it. And they're like, okay, well, how do I do that?
Right.
And so it's like, look, these are a real struggle. And then I put it on paper, and then sometimes I'll mark the date, and when that prayer gets renewed, redeemed, answered by the weirdest little ways, a year or 2 years,
Right.
I'll go back to it and on the back be like, this is how this prayer was answered. And it's just nice to have this little like, oh yeah, these are tangible things that it's not like, you know, sometimes people think like I was baptized and now I'm a new creation in Christ and my life is perfect. And sometimes it's like I just need
Not
those
at all.
little personal reminders.
Hey, I got to go to the bathroom really bad.
Don't cut that out.
Well,
Make sure
don't-
that
yeah.
you
Don't
know
cut
that
it out.
That old
Don't
man.
cut it out.
That old man had to pee
Yeah.
before I
We'll talk
did.
about the cruise while he's gone.
Yeah.
And we'll see you in a minute.
All right.
Don't forget to wash your hands. Okay, so the cruise. They'll keep this in. You'll keep it in, right? Thumbs
okay,
up.
I was going to get a trick ready, but all right.
No, get a trick ready.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
They're going to talk. That I just thought about what
Oh,
I should do.
could probably use that. Thanks.
Yeah, yeah.
We went on a Ramsey cruise together. What is that?
Well, don't see that other one. No, I don't know what that. That's
To
how I
Dave
pay all my
Ramsey,
bills.
I didn't see a credit card.
There we go. There's a trick I thought. Okay, never mind.
Oh,
I
this
found
is
it.
a chick?
Yeah, this is this one I carried in my wallet to do it any time with 2 people. I just thought about it, so
That's perfect.
that's one. It'll be fun to do. All right,
I love
the
it.
Ramsey cruise.
The Ramsey cruise. Do you wish you could go back? I kind of miss it.
Yeah, you know what I didn't miss? I gained 6.5 pounds.
I was just gonna say I miss the food.
Yeah.
I
I missed the freedom of it's right there, and
Yeah.
you know what? I could just go up there and find
No
something.
dishes, no
No
grocery
dishes.
store. You could just show up. It was so much. I had so much more fun with Brent because there was no like stress. We just showed
Yeah.
up at dinner, didn't have to pay a bill. It was all included.
Yeah.
So there was just like this is just fun for us, and like there was all. It felt like primarily Christian community and fellowship.
Yeah.
Every hour of the day. Like
right.
I felt like even though I was maybe like praying less or reading scripture less, there was like still all of this. God was like infused in all of the whole things on the sea.
No. I was amazed because I didn't really know much about Dave other than the show and listen to that. And I did hear him at my church one time, and I thought he was great, but I didn't really realize that he would use his faith and with all of the employees. It's important. They all had that same character, and they all shared. And I mean, I wasn't hired to share, but I felt like, well, this is all happening everywhere. So
Yeah.
I need to share.
Yeah.
And you share in your act, but so I just getting to know those guys on a different level was really great.
They're so
And
fun.
yeah,
John Deloney said when you do the straight jacket, he was like, no, you don't understand. I was like really pushing on him. I thought I was going to get in so much trouble. I was like, what if I break Nate's dad? My career's going to be over.
Yeah. He was awesome.
Where were we?
All right.
Hey, everybody, we're back.
Yeah, it's funny. I was trying to wrap it up, and then we got.
He didn't even drink all that.
And then we got to talking, and because I had to go, and then we kept talking. It was really interesting, and I'm thinking.
Well, did you say hi to my husband while you were down there?
I was down there. I said, and I also did the Jim Carrey. Do not go in there. just saying ahead of time.
But we talked just having fun at the.
We're talking
on the cruise.
Oh, and the cruise with
so
Ram.
much
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
We had such a great time. It was so fun.
Those are fun. He had the whole ship, right?
He had the whole ship.
Yeah,
so
see,
he
those
had
are the
everybody
fun ones.
like-minded that
So
was
those are
on
the
it.
fun
And
ones, yeah.
I really thought it was going to be just all money. I went to one talk where literally I had not a clue what they were talking about. It's just like, to do this with me. And I'm going, my money's in a bank. And so somebody might, but it was amazing to even hear the way these people talk. But also, we were sharing while you were gone how they brought the spiritual aspect of it around and everything. And everybody had their story, and they kind of told. It was very personal. You really felt like you knew all the performers and all of the speakers that he had. And then people would come up to you all the time and stuff. And when I could get my wife out of the casino, I'd say, where's she at?
Was the casino open?
Oh yeah, just for her and another guy. They're the only two.
Well, it's so funny. I was on a Christian cruise, and they opened the casino, and they've never asked me back because I sat with Chaz Corzine and played blackjack at $5 a hand. I said, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I mean, I could pretend that I don't do this. And we sat there for an hour. I think I lost $15.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just social, and the looks you get, and and it's like you can't tell me.
You don't.
And 500 people, whoever was on that cruise, that a number of these people don't go to Vegas and they don't play the tables.
Right.
And
I did Michael W. Smith cruise, and it was awesome. And that's how I think I got this one, and maybe Nate. But Chaz made an announcement. Somebody complained or something. He goes, so people want to complain about the casino, they want to close it. He goes, I will be on the blackjack table from 5 to 7. If you want to come by and tell me why you don't want it, feel free to do so.
Yeah, see, Gaither never had the casino open, and I heard you have to pay a lot of extra money as a person to not have it open because the casino loses revenue. So, and if you're not going to sell alcohol, you have to basically pay for the alcohol that you would have sold. I mean, it adds to the expense of having a ship.
People, they're not charging you for the alcohol if you don't buy it.
No, but if you tell them they can't sell it.
Yeah, well, let them do whatever they want.
Right. That's the way I would look at it. And
there was a lot of wine being drank on this one.
Oh,
but with Ramsey, as long as you're not using your credit card to pay off your gambling debt.
Yeah, it's good.
It's good.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it was really funny. Carol, Stephen's wife, was in the casino, but was uncomfortable. Day 4, she was like with a baseball bat, breaking kneecaps, like, give me my money.
That was a little rough.
Yeah.
No, it was a really good time. It was so much fun.
I would do it again in a heartbeat.
And the people were really nice. So I hate when people are always like, well, you should tell us a joke, but will you do that magic trick? Because I'm really excited about it.
Yeah.
It's a bunch I keep trying to do.
We'll do Triumphant. If
you want to do Triumph?
Well, do Triumph and do another one after that as well. But,
we'll do this and then Triumph.
But I love because people that don't know what takes 10 years to do.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Ooh, I have to work on that one. But think of we're going to think of a number between 1 and 10. Before you do it, just think of either odd or even.
Okay.
You got it? Mm-hmm. If I was guessing, I'm going to say you thought of odd.
Yeah.
You got even.
Okay.
Think of an odd number between 1 and 10, so that means 1 could be it and 10 can be yours. And then look at the word next to your number. Got it?
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Look at, you got an even number?
Yes.
This way y'all won't have the same word. You got it?
Okay.
You got it? All right. Now those are very simple, too easy. I need to create a word picture in your brain. And what this is going to be much easier for me to figure out what you guys are thinking about. So I'm going to read these 10 things, and One of them is going to really relate more to what you're thinking about than the other one. A blue felt tip pen. So that. A special delivery postage stamp. A shiny silver carving knife. A yellow ball of yarn. An original oil painting. An old felt hat. A South Sea Island. Western stagecoach. Antique clock. China coffee cup. Did one of those kind of go with your word?
Yes.
You too?
Yeah.
You think? Hold your hands out, just like this. And you want to be careful because you don't want to drop the ball of yarn and you don't want to get cut by the knife.
How did you know that? He's the devil.
And that's, you know, and it's really funny. We can talk
Yeah,
about
mine, for the audience, mine was a cat toy.
Mine was sharp.
Yeah.
But I always had trouble with and mentalism magic in the beginning because I would do this stuff in a club when I first started, and people believe it's all crazy, and people come up and go, "I lost my sister. Can you help me? Can you help me find it? Or where's my mother's ring?"
Yeah, staying afterwards.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I wasn't home last night, Carol. I was doing 7 different seances.
And stuff. I'm going, this is not real. This is just a card trick, and it's all done that way. But this is the trick that we were talking about earlier, Triumph. And hopefully I could do it where they can see it
Can
enough.
they see it, Christian?
Kristen, we're doing good?
Thumbs up. Sweet. Thank you. He fell asleep.
All right. This card's been in my car too long. But they're all mixed up, so that saves time. Okay.
I used to love it when they go, pick a card, no one shoot out.
Yeah.
You know, any card, random.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Free choice. I know them all.
Yeah.
I know them all.
Yeah.
All right, just touch one on the back.
Okay.
It doesn't really matter which one you're touching. That one?
Yeah.
And I won't look because I can see it in the monitor maybe.
Right.
But
Okay.
you seen it? Am I showing
Okay.
it good?
We
Yeah.
got it.
Okay. Push it in all the way so we don't. And I do this just so that I have no little fingers underneath it or anything. That's the way I used to do it. But a lot of people say, before you even do the trick, can we shuffle? Can you shuffle? And the answer is no. I'm just going to be honest. When I allow other people to shuffle, a lot of times the tricks don't work. So I will do the shuffling. But I'm going to show you what could happen, the worst case scenario. A guy turns half the deck the wrong way. And then he mixes the cards face up and the face down. If I can get him to mix. He's been in my card, like I said. There we go. You can see that they're being... Matter of fact, you can even see. These are face up, face down. Real slow, I mix them together. So now you got faces and faces, you got backs and backs. As you can see, the deck is really messed up. I don't want to do anything. You hold the cards up here, they can see, and shake it one time, and then show everybody that they're all back, that they're all straightened up. It'll be a triumph that if we can straighten the whole deck up. Oh, all except one.
No.
No way. Earlier she touched one card.
Whoa! Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
That's a guy named Guy Vernon came up with that idea, and there's a million ways. I want just real quick so you can see. I'll just show you the reason why it happened. Jeff, pull one out. So I'll explain this one to you. Show it to
your friends if you have any. That was my favorite line. Show it to your friends if you have any. I'll be here all
It
week.
shouldn't take long. All right, look. Goes into the deck. The reason why that trick even worked is because people don't pay attention. Okay, pay attention.
Okay.
How many cards did I turn over?
1.
See, she's not paying attention. Let me do it again. How many did I turn over?
I got nothing. Did you see?
No.
Look, you're supposed to say all of them.
All of them.
All but one. I told you it's the same trick. We're just doing the same trick again. It's the same one we just did. That's being a jerk, saying, I'll explain it, but I'm not really going to explain
How
it.
did you do that?
And-
I'm still
and stuff.
blown
10
away.
years of practice. That's
That's
how
right,
I did
that's right.
practice.
But it was
Yeah.
that was the original trick that I was trying to figure out just how to do the triumph thing, and no one would share it with me. And so then I spent a lot of years collecting triumphs. Kind of like to myself, I just want to learn how many different ways can I learn to do a trick or anything. So
Impressive.
I don't know. But this is my therapy and my fun is doing all of this stuff. But again, you can't do. I'm the House of Cards is a place here in Nashville. You can come. You can do card tricks, and there's getting to be more and more places where in Spain right now. It's one of the biggest things is you go to a theater. About 70, 80 people set up, and a guy does card tricks.
Really?
And so I think eventually it'll come to America, and it's starting to a little bit. House of Cards is one place, but where you just go watch. But even there, when you come to the big show, you're in the big room.
Right.
These are places that you can go, and it's just card tricks.
Yeah, when it's right up close, it's so...
And to be honest with you, when Tammy and I ate at House of Cards, we didn't enjoy the stage show nearly as much as we enjoyed the close-up.
Yeah. And that just depends. Now,
same with Magic Castle. We enjoyed the close-up at Magic Castle.
Yeah,
But then again, I'm a huge fan of close-up. One, I tried to develop some skills. I know how hard it is, so I have a deep appreciation for what it takes to do what you did. And then again, you spend most of your time just trying to make it entertaining.
Right.
With the pattern, whatever. But there's no magic shops in... those have...
they're still around some. There's, Daytona has one, and Vegas has a little place.
There was one in Opryland, I think, when I moved here in the 90s.
Yeah, there was one in the theme park, and we used to, the guy that worked it hated me and the other magician because we had the big show, and he had to sell little tricks.
Right.
And he wanted the big show. And so he would order and buy the tricks that we were doing in our show and sell them to the little kids. You talk about making my life miserable.
Oh my gosh, so the kids got it in his pocket.
Yeah, they were going, well, we just bought that. And you just go, but it actually made me a better magician because I just found different ways of doing it so that their way would be wrong. You know,
right?
And when we're off air, I'll tell you what I did because it's very funny. But it would expose something that probably I'd get in trouble for.
Right.
But it was horrible.
Yeah.
When we were, you know how people always come up to you and they're always like, I'll use that bit, like, or I got a buddy who's had this story, or I'm really funny. You can use that. You can put that in your little sketch.
Yeah.
I had that experience.
I love it when they go, you can use this in your sketch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had that experience with magic on the cruise. So you were doing these amazing things. Rick Green was doing these amazing things. And this couple that we kind of like got to know, he came up to me like one of the last nights of the cruise. He was like, I do a little magic.
I dabble.
Too. I dabble in a little magic. And then he pulls cards out of his pocket. And I'm like, no, this isn't going to happen right now. Like, I can't watch this like a heck.
What was his wife doing? Was she standing behind him going, oh, God.
No, but I bet he was not
No,
bad
she
because I
wasn't
met
there.
this guy.
Yeah. Okay, so then he does this trick. And I'm like, this is a bunch of shenanigans. He's going to get embarrassed or whatever. And I didn't have belief. And then he does this thing and he's like, well, I got to smell the cards to know which card. So he smells the card and I'm like, God, this guy. And then he goes, you know what? I got to taste it. So he's licking cards in front of me and my husband on a cruise on the 9th deck while we're at the ocean on the last night. And I'm like, this is a weird job some days. And I'm just listening to him. And then he's like, is this your card? And it wasn't our card. And I was like, I just didn't want to see him get embarrassed.
So you lied.
And I go, oh, no, that wasn't our card. He goes, that's okay. And then he goes, clap, and pulls our card, folded up out of his mouth, and blew my mind. And I was like, there's redemption.
Loved it. I met that guy. He was great.
He was so
That would have been
sweet.
funny if you, just to be nice, said,
This
yes, that's my card.
This is definitely one you would have learned. This still one of the greatest tricks in magic and stuff. The sponge bunnies. It's check it out. Is that the mom or the dad? You don't have to look.
Not today.
No. She was just looking at.
She just identified.
She was just checking out his dirty feet. I'm sure. But okay. The mom or the dad? Which one? This is the
mom.
Right, and this is dad. Which one do you want, mom or dad?
The mom.
Of course. Say go.
Go.
Done. I've got the mom. You got the dad. Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. You were really good at that part, didn't you? Here, take both. Take one, and this time I'll make mine disappear and go in your hand. So the dad will join the mom.
Okay.
Say go.
Go.
Gone. Okay, you did it way too fast. Hold them tight. Hold the dad. I'll take the mom this time. And she won't go until I want her to. So she'll look like she's gone. She'll look there, but she'll actually go in my pocket. And she's not in my pocket. Take a look. All right, good. One time, take both of them this time.
Okay.
We'll make one disappear, the mom or the dad. Which one you want to disappear?
The dad.
Always the dad, isn't it?
Always is.
They always do. That's all.
Went out for milk.
Okay. Oh, we left it in there too long. You don't want to shake her hand whenever you meet her. That's just all
That's
I'm
what
saying.
bunnies do, baby.
Isn't that a great trick? That's one of the greatest tricks in the world.
So funny.
And what it's so great, right? Because it happens in their hand and stuff
Right.
like that and stuff. But
But it happens right in front of you. That's what I love about close-up. It's just, and it's not trickery. It's just sleight of hand.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, well, you have something big coming up in November. This won't be out for a few weeks, so are we allowed to announce it?
Yeah, everything can be announced.
Yes.
And
Okay.
everything, it can do it.
So this is a pretty big deal, but you can see Stephen Bargatze any day of the week at 3 o'clock at the nursing home bingo
Right.
in Hermitage. No. Tell
I'm
him your
opening
big-
for him.
Yes. I've been waiting for that. I mean,
No, this is huge news. Tell that camera your big news.
For Christmas this year, it's been Nathan's had it in his mind for a long time. He has a Nateland production where they do. It's kind of like his own dry bar.
Right.
He's trying to bring comedy back in, good, clean comedy. And he's trying to also work with a lot of younger guys to show them that they
Right.
can be funny without
Right.
being dirty. And but they have decided to film my special, a special about their dad, to get it filmed before I die. And I'll give you the commercial. We would put all that stuff on there.
Yeah, I'll
but
put
it's
all of it on
just
there.
kind of, you know what? And my wife asked me today, "What's your goal? What are you trying to accomplish by this?"
Yeah.
And I go, "No, really. I just wanted to have something before I die. I mean, something. So maybe because Nathan's going to live up for a while, maybe we can go, was his dad that funny? And somebody can go, hey, look here, this is where he
Well,
was.
it's
It's like your dry bar.
Well,
Why
that's
would you do
why
it?
I'm taping a 1 hour this fall in Casper, Wyoming, for that reason. You know, we're gonna pitch it to Netflix and pitch it to all the.
Yeah.
But if they don't pick it up, I'll just put it on YouTube. And
That's right.
my kids, why I wrote the book, they haven't read it,
Yeah.
because they're my kids. Why would they read it? But anyway, I wrote it even for them and my grandchildren, so they get to know their Mimi and Papa.
right.
What our struggles were, and then ultimately what the redemption and restoration was, what we did.
I don't know if I have all that in there in an hour, but it'll be my
And
body of my work.
Nate Land's producing it.
Nate Land's producing it.
Yeah.
I'm really thinking about doing it, and a friend of mine just told me this today, was that it should be a little bit of my life. Maybe 'cause in the beginning, like, these are the tricks I did. Not like something like this, but for young kids when I was a clown and when I did this, then I turned in and start doing adults
I like that, the
only.
whole arc of the,
yeah. So this is where I ended up, and this is what I do now for Nate. And stuff. So it'll be just a way to get it on tape, maybe to
Will
you
there
know
be
to go.
some
I'm done.
clips? Will there be some clips from Nate's arena shows that you just
Yeah. Well, I wish he would throw those in. No,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
Yeah.
That's up to Nate. He'll
kind of
be
more of
doing
a
that part.
documentary type thing than just a 1 hour show?
I
or
think
you
it's
wanna
just going to be a 1 hour show.
Great. Where are you
We may be
filming?
doing it. We're going to film it at the Franklin Theater here in Nashville,
Oh, okay.
Tennessee
I
on
know where.
November the 2nd.
Yeah.
And the first poster that we made said for one time only at 3 and 7. So
At 3 and 7, I love it. That's like next year. My tour title is my first farewell tour.
So we're changing that to one day only, 3 and 7 o'clock at the Franklin Theater.
Yeah.
Tickets will be on sale by the time you see this, for sure. And you can go to Nateland and find out where that is and all of that. I wouldn't go to my social media because I don't even know if I have one.
Yeah,
You do.
You do.
Abigail's
Abby's
done
doing a great job.
So it'll be up there too, perhaps, and stuff like that, though. But
We're so excited. I'm so
yeah,
excited.
and I'm trying. I mean, I owe everybody free tickets my whole life, and plus I also go. I said, well, I should not have to. I can just invite my friends and it'll be great. But my daughter and other son, Derek, rented the theater out of their own pocket. So I feel guilty. I'm going. I can't. So I made my wife buy her tickets. I go, we're buying tickets.
Well, that's the trouble. It's interesting in
So-
Nashville. I learned early on, it's hard to sell tickets in Nashville because everybody knows somebody within the business and they want comp tickets. Right. So it is the way you should do it. And I remember, Chaz Corzine, who we'll have on. But Chaz has connections all over. Oh, yeah. And it took me a few calls to realize, you know what, I should offer to pay for these. Yeah. And then I can get the tickets because everybody gets hit up for, I get calls when comics come to town and people will go, hey man, I'd love to go see Rodney Carrington. I go, well, they got them on sale. I mean,
they think we can get them better tickets.
And it's not that I know Rodney at all, but they think because, well, aren't you guys a brotherhood? Don't you know? Yeah, he'll take your call, he won't take mine, for free comp tickets.
Last year at Bridgestone, I bought 8 tickets, and I was on the show.
Yeah.
Just because I'm not going to ask, and because of family and everything like that, and I'm just going. I want to, but it's it's easier for me to just get on there and buy the tickets and give it to Rodney Bargatze, who's older than I am. He's not going to know how to even get on the internet and find them, and that the people that I know that I should be doing. I really feel like my show. I wish it would be a free show for everybody, but then you wouldn't appreciate it.
Well, I've done that, but the good news is that it really only costs me 20% because I'm taking 80% of the gate. So, so and I can sell out the whole show to me, But then again, it's my money coming back.
That's right.
And I lose 20%.
Oh my gosh!
I mean. And again, maybe for me, it's the last time I'm asking my people to come see me again because I know. I mean. I'm not Nate. I don't throw my whole life away every year and start over from scratch and stuff like that. I'm still got material. This is stuff I've been doing my whole life. And so I'm asking some people to come out and see me one more time. And then I'm not saying it's my last time.
Right.
But
I
can relax.
That. I understand that because that's what I'm doing the best of. I've done all these dry bars, and we're doing another one in August. It has to be all new material. So I'm starting now, and it's a process. I don't know if it'll ever be as strong as what I've done before, and that's the problem with every year doing something new. I want to go back, and for the last month I've been out with Brent, your husband, I've gotten it as tight as I can get it, and we filmed it in Ohio, and I'm going to keep it as a record so that once I'm done with this dry bar thing, I can go back, and I want to film. I want that on tape. This is what I did. My sons have not seen me in years since they lived with me. They don't know what their dad does. And my grandchildren, it was funny, they were out at the factory, and my granddaughter, I love kids. You're not funny, Papa.
Wait, did they say I was funny?
She loved you. Lydia loved you. It's girl power, So, but yeah, I thought that was very funny. Just don't worry about Papa's feelings at all. You don't have to. You're not funny, but they don't know what I do. They've seen me on video. To them, it's like, oh, that's my Papa, but years when they're in their 30s, and I'm long gone. To go, what did my grandfather do? And
get a chill. That's exactly why.
It means something to know that when my oldest sons are complaining about their deprived childhood because they didn't have a father around. This is why. This is what your Papa did.
Right.
And it means a lot.
Yeah.
Legacy means something.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got to wrap.
I know we wrapped it up, but I have great respect for both of you guys and your comedy. You've earned your rights and stuff, and it's just an honor that you would even think to ask me to be on this.
Oh, you're kidding me? You're one of the first people we thought of.
Yeah. We're so
it took
grateful
2 years
you're
to get me on here. No. But I appreciate you guys and what you do way more than you realize.
And I hope
and your husband.
I hope you take and heed my advice that to make it to November 2nd, you got to slow down on the pickleball, man. It's not a.
I'm going to pickleball right after.
I know
this.
you are. I know you are.
Are you going to come out to the golf tournament?
I got to put it on my date and see what it is. I would love to.
It's Monday, June 30th.
Buy tickets to be in the golf tournament so you can hang out with Stephen too.
I'll do my best.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you, and you're just such a godsend for me and Brent in our life. Both of you guys have been just spoken wisdom and kindness into our hearts, and I'm just so grateful for both of you.
Well, thank you. And for you guys, we need you to share this. We need you to download it, hit the subscribe button, subscribe, share it, and comments, right?
Yeah, tons of comments. Tell us all about how you know how this bunny trick was done and you saw it on the video and all of that kind of stuff, and put it there because it drives up the algorithm, and that's what we want. Tell us how you hate us, but we love you. God bless you guys so much.
God bless.
God bless you.